It's just there's no words, and there shouldn't be. If you fucking like it, you like it. If you don't, you don't. You're not wrong for either one.
I think some people could put it into words.
Fuck them. They're not here. Welcome to Every Album Ever with Mike and Alex. My name is Michael Mansour, and I'm joined as always by my full of chicken and mac and cheese co-host, Alexander Volts. Say hello.
Hello.
This is Every Album Ever, the podcast where we listen to every single album in the world, one artist at a time. That's a whole new discography per episode. And today, we'll be discussing every album by
Silkworm.
Silkworm. This is requested on Patreon by Kevin a while back, and we finally got to it. We weren't pushing it off. We weren't making him wait on purpose. It just happened to take a long time.
Yes, and we're talking about how to maybe do this faster in the future.
Yes, we're trying to figure out how to not make you guys wait so much. Thank you so much, by the way, for supporting us and hanging out with us. And thank you, Kevin, for this request. This is gonna be a very, very fucking fun episode. We have so much to talk about, and not even regarding music or this episode or the band, just
the making of this episode,
recording right now.
Yeah,
you won't believe what just happened over the past 2 hours, something like that.
No,
longer. It's
about 3
hours,
2 to 3 hours. And yeah.
Oh my God. We'll talk about that. But thank you so much, Kevin, for suggesting this. We have a bunch to talk about. Silkworm, of course. One of the most underappreciated and untalked about bands ever. Definitely not for everyone. Already I'm going to go out the gate. Fuck you, Alex. You asshole, because I know you don't like them.
Yeah, you're correct.
Yeah, I like them a lot. And I like them, a lot. And there's going to be so much to talk about.
That's good. Because the boys in Silkworm were kind enough to talk to Tom. So
we have an actual exclusive interview from both Tim Midyett and Andy Cohen from Silkworm. So thank you so much to them. I mean, they're the nicest guys in the world. And thank you to Tom, our history guy, for once again just pulling miracles out of his ass and just making the show better. Mm-hmm. But before we get into that, so Alex shows up to record a little episode. Mm-hmm. And before he gets here, I'm struggling trying to get the video to work. And I have the camera connected to my computer, and I have this whole thing using fucking OBS and whatever. It works. It's worked for many years now at this point, and it's not working. It's just not working. He gets here. I'm fiddling, I'm faddling, I'm fapping and whacking, and nothing's working.
If I ever come in and you're fapping and whacking, I'll leave.
You don't have to. I'm very unintrusive when I do it, but I'm trying everything and it's not working. So I figure it's got to be the little link, the USB link that I'm connecting via HDMI to the computer. It's got to be. What else could it be? Worst case scenario, we'll just go to Best Buy right now and buy a new one.
And that's what we did.
That is what we did.
But the worst case scenario somehow got more complicated.
It got worser. And we go there, we finally find it, the replacement.
After Mike was very, very rude to an employee.
Okay, listen, all right.
No, he wasn't rude. He was just like, I don't want to talk to people.
It was rude. It was absolutely rude. I was being a fucking asshole. I didn't mean to be so you know, first of all, when you walk into the store and the first thing he said is, "Why are you here?" He said it all nice and creepy.
It wasn't, "How can I help you today?" or "What are you looking for?" It was but
it was like, "Why are you? What are you looking for? Why are you here today?"
The tone was nicer, but the actual question was kind of like, "Wait, what?"
Yeah, it was a "wait, what?" question, and I gave him a "wait, what?" answer. So I just kind of brushed him off. I mumbled. Actually, I didn't even mumble words. It was nonsense. And I kind of walked away. But we found the thing. We pay for it. We leave. We get back here. I'm opening it. I break the seal. I pull out the little cardboard packaging, and I see something that I don't recognize. Instead of seeing the little device, I instead see a yellow plastic thing that smells of banana. Mm-hmm. And then Alex shrewdly pointed out that was a thing that goes inside a vape cartridge.
Yeah, some sort of, I don't smoke, I'm not cool, some sort of vape-y cigarette thing, whatever you guys do.
It wasn't a cam link is what it was. What it was.
It absolutely was not.
So, okay, that's someone scammed this place and I got, the residue of that. Fine. It's a huge waste of fucking time, but it's funny and we'll go back and return it.
Yep.
So we did that. We went back and returned it. And I said, this is not what I bought. There is a thing in there. It's leaking, by the way. You might not want to just be careful. So Alex, while I'm talking to the customer service people, he grabs another one. And this one, it's in the same exact packaging, the same fucking security spider thing on it. So she's like, all right. So sorry. That's fucking crazy. You can't believe that, but here you go.
And Mike's smart enough to open it in front.
Well, you don't get burned twice.
No,
you don't get burned. What are the chances that it's going to be something else? Like, obviously there was a crazy fucking accident, fluke thing. Some guy scammed them, and then I picked it up by mistake. I opened this one, and inside it wasn't a vape cartridge. It was a dog toy.
Yes, a chewy blue dog bone. And even the lady was like, what the fuck is going on here?
She called like her manager, and he was like, what the fuck?
And he was just as entertained as we were. I go back, grab a third one. The last one they have. And everyone at this point's like, oh, like, we need to record today, but also like it'd be funny if it was just like
this over and over again.
Yeah.
A full on Benny Hill sketch.
Yeah.
So
third time,
it was fine.
Yeah.
Third time, it was the thing. Problem solved, right? Fucking no. Problem not solved. We get back. I plug it in, and it doesn't work the same way the other one doesn't work. I have no idea how or why. And you're watching a video right now, so we're recording it straight through the cameras, through SD, but it's way harder that way. There's gonna be a lot more edits.
Mike's got his work cut out for him.
It's
on
a
this one.
fucking pain in the ass, and it takes up so much more space when you record from the camera. It's like gigs and gigs, as opposed to literally like 5 gigs. It'll be like 30, 40, maybe 50. So we got all that out of the way. We're finally here. We're here to talk about a band that Alex doesn't like, but that I have so much as I never heard them before. You never heard them before, I'm assuming.
No, I have not.
I always knew their name because of Touch and Go. Very familiar with the name. Never heard the band.
Continuing our Steve Albini and our Touch and Go adventures on this podcast.
Check out the full Touch and Go playlist. We covered a lot of Touch and Go bands. We love that label, of course.
And should make a Steve Albini play.
He only has.
He wouldn't want a playlist.
Well, no, it's only like if we're counting his bands, we've only covered 2 out of his 3 bands, and if we're covering the bands that he's recorded, sometimes he'd only do 1 album. So like we're gonna put Nirvana in the Steve Albini playlist.
Yeah, I don't.
You know what? Maybe. Anyway, Silkworm. It's a guest. So I also watched the documentary "Couldn't You Wait." Which
how was that?
It was fucking awesome.
Okay.
It was like legitimately good. And also it came out, I think 2013.
Okay.
So it's pretty old at this point. I had to buy it. I don't think you can find it streaming anywhere. But the cool thing about that is because we have these interviews from Tom, and he went out of his way to ask things that weren't in the doc. So we have like a very thorough representation of the band, how they feel about it, and how fans feel about it. Fans of that band should find something to enjoy in this episode, even though you are going to shit all over these albums. And I'm going to do my best to defend them.
I'm going to go a little easy since, Silkworm.
You don't got to do nothing you don't want to do.
I was just like, oh boy, Tom interviewed these guys.
That's what I was worried at first too, mostly because I just didn't know what I was getting into. But I was, even when I was like, all right, this isn't for me. I get it. It's not really for me. At a certain point, I'm like, I get it. And all of a sudden I'm like, yeah, all right, I get it. I'm into it.
Gonna commit the first sin because there's not a lot of like information readily available. Then I saw a lot of people compare them to Pavement.
Oh yeah.
And yeah,
you're going to hear that a lot from me in this episode.
I've never been into Pavement, so that's another.
I listen, we've never discussed this, but I know. Yeah. I know Pavement is not your band. Yeah. I love Pavement.
Okay.
Like, I fucking legitimately love Pavement. Yeah. And even Steve Albini was in the doc as well. Mm-hmm. And there was like, I'll point it out specifically when we get to it, but there's an actual Pavement reference in a song that lit me up when I heard it. I was like, oh fuck, that's fucking oh hell yeah. And I knew they were peers, but I didn't realize they were like friends. So when I heard it, I was like, is that just like a weird homage? Because it's clear, it's like, it's not a ripoff. It's clearly we're playing the Pavement thing here.
Yeah.
So I was like, they have to be friends. And then later on, it's clearly they were friends and they went on tour with them. Yeah, like 96 or something. I think they took them on tour.
Because that was one of the few things I read, that it wasn't like they're peers. They're not like, and Pavement just happened to be the more popular one.
Yeah, they're very similar in style. In style for sure. I would say more in writing than style, because they write a lot of the same types of vocal lines. A lot of the vocals do sound like Pavement, where it's this kind of regular guy sing thing, which I find kind of charming. And then the songs themselves, not so much early on, but as they go on, it's like Pavement style indie, is the only way I can describe it, where it has these specific types of progressions. These songs make you feel a certain way. There's not a lot of veering from that. There's not a whole lot of darkness. There's no evil riffs. There's no like, it all kind of revolves around the same mood, which if you like it, there's no bad album. There's nothing wrong with any of this. It's fucking excellent all the way through. If you don't like it, you're in for some shit.
Me, baby.
I knew pretty early on, I was like, this is not Alex's band. I feel bad for him, but I fucking like a lot of it. Like I like a lot of it.
It was a struggle for me.
Oh man, we gon' get into it, baby. All right. So this is, the documentary also made me pretty fucking emotional and very sad, because the core it's a core trio, but they're already, with the lineup, they're already the most endearing and interesting way they even approach lineups, because main three guys are Andrew Cohen on guitar and vocals, Tim Midyett, I believe his birth name is Midyett. Like,
really?
I think because on all the records it's Tim Midyett. In the documentary, his parents have the last name Midyett. They showed like yearbook photos, Midyett.
What an interesting last name.
I think he changed it later in life to Midyett.
Yeah.
So that makes more sense, because the word midget is not the most popular thing. But also it's like, I've never heard that as a last name in my life.
No, yeah.
Wild. But yeah, Tim Midyett on bass and vocals, and Michael Dahlquist on drums. And so in the early years, it was them three. All right, I'm already getting ahead of myself. I'm already fucking things up. And the first lineup is Andy, Tim, Ben Kustra on drums, and Joel R.L. Phelps on vocals and second guitar. But they put out some records. They put out 2 records with that lineup, those 4. And the weird thing about all the records we're covering is the first 3, they're not available streaming. They're hard to find. They're fucking not easy to find.
I don't know if this is accurate, but to me, it seems like they're only available on cassette.
They were originally cassette. Well, the first 2 were cassettes. Self-release cassettes.
And Some Angel on Soulseek. Shout out to that guy and Soulseek. Whoever's still using Soulseek.
Us.
One person, when I looked this up, one person had it.
That's cutting it so close. Everything about this episode is cutting it super close.
So yeah, because it sounds like tape quality.
Yeah, it sounds like tape quality as well as like self-produced stuff.
Whoever recorded the tape to MP3 as well has these files and
decided
to still use Soulseek in the year 2023.
It's pretty wild. It kind of doesn't make any sense. Thank you so much for that, because we actually got our hands on it. But those first 3 records, they're not even mentioned in the documentary.
Yeah.
They're completely ignored.
They're not streaming, which, we'll get into it, which I think is kind of a shame. And I say that as someone who doesn't love this band, but
it is a shame. There's a lot to be had on there. And we do have some thoughts from Andy and Tim about those records, which is good, because I literally couldn't, one of them, I don't even know how to fucking pronounce it, because I haven't heard it spoken anywhere. We'll obviously get to,
we're going to try to pronounce
it. I have an idea, but it's probably wrong. But anyway, so 2 of those records, it's this lineup. Andy moves to New York to go to Columbia, I think. And then Tim and Joel moved to Seattle to try and have because they're from Missoula, Montana. middle of fucking nowhere, but also a weirdly, like, I don't want to say active scene, but it had like it's like a weird hodgepodge of like college town, and then like I don't know if it's like I don't want to say fisherman, but like that type of trade. There's no water there, but you know what I mean, like that type of man. It's like a weird melting pot of like strange peoples and like little scenes, like really small scenes,
like rough blue collar stuff, and then the college kids.
Exactly, and it's sort of like a strong lefty scene as well as all this like blue collar stuff, which is it was like a just a weird little tiny town, and Joel, Andy, and Tim met in their previous band Einheit, which I could talk a little bit about that, but they were a post-punk band that I really, really want to hear. And anything with more Joel, I think is
that's
good.
Your thing.
Joel's my man.
Okay.
I love Joel. This guy is a special dude. Elusive as fuck. He's not in the doc at all. We have no idea. I've never seen an interview with the guy. He left the band in 94, and they continued as a three piece, but I'm jumping all over. I'm throwing timelines. I'm fucking going ape shit. I feel like I'm going to be talking a lot.
I mean, you are, because you watch the doc.
Yeah.
You're the fan.
I suppose. Okay. So this is straight from Tim to Tom to us. So thank you, Tim, again and Andy for doing this. He says, in regards to growing up in like rural areas like Missoula, he says, I spent the first several years of my life in places more isolated than Missoula. Harbrr is about as far north in Montana as you can get. Richland, Washington is near the Hanford Nuclear Reservation and not recommended. Then on the east shore of Flathead Lake up in the woods, and later on a farm outside of Helena. So motherfucker was already raised in middle of nowhere. So like they would go to Seattle, and then later on they would go to Chicago. And it's like a weird trajectory geographically, I think. He says Missoula was the big city compared to those places, but it was undeniably isolated. Pre-internet, limited cable TV and radio, not many flights up in the mountains, forbidding in the winter. Yet it's a college town with a steady supply of new blood. Young people who wanted to spend as much time biking and hiking and drinking as studying. They brought in records and books from all over the place.
Nice.
Very nice. A little different from some of the other isolated small bands that we've encountered.
I'm always going to go to the smalls because I can't believe how isolated they were. But so yeah, this hearing that, there's people coming in, bringing it, that's already a step above.
Yeah, because otherwise you end up like Hammerhead, who start out in fucking Fargo and have like, no one's going to Fargo for any reason, unless it's to murder somebody like in the movie. But yeah, he goes on to say hippies, aimless grad students, drug mules, disenchanted farmers, open-minded truckers, curious tourists. They'd end up in a bungalow with a rusted-out mini pickup, living out the rest of their days on what was meant to be a side route. And they also had books and records as well as enough money to go to the art house movies and keep those places in business. What a strange town.
Curious truckers is a funny way to say.
Oh, they're curious. Them lot lizards.
I never heard that term either.
Never?
Lot lizards.
Never? Oh, I got that from Sunny. Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
I'm sorry. Okay. Oh man. Fucking.
He says it was the sticks, but if you're willing to dig, you can get what you needed to feed your head pretty well. Prevailing musical culture in the bars was mediocre R&B and blues and kind of lame jam bands, but some curious, attractive people with real vibrance and intelligence were interested enough to support original music on a low-level DIY scale.
That's neat. That kind of reminds me of, obviously not as remote, but like Joshua Tree before it got all trendy and what it is today.
I'm only familiar with like the desert part of Joshua Tree. Like the park of Joshua Tree.
Yeah, I have mixed feelings about that place, but this episode's going to be long enough. So that's neither here nor there, but
fair enough.
Back before it was trendy. Sounds kind of like the same vibe.
So Andy says on the same issue of growing up in Missoula, he says Missoula had an advantage in being isolated from any big urban areas. This meant that it wasn't able to be subsumed into any artistic or cultural scene established by an elite in a big city, but it was big enough and had enough cultural inputs, quote unquote, from the local cowboy, logger, hippie, and university scene to feel well-rounded and able to deal with out of the ordinary thinking and creativity. And he goes on to say, he says, I could go on all day about that, but a few examples that specifically enabled the Silkworm inception and growth were things like college students recruiting high schoolers to flesh out their post-punk bands, which is what happened with him and Tim in Einheit. Rock shows understood to be spectacle plus music, virtually no restrictions on movement, even for really young people, not a lot of concern for physical safety. Self-starting, taken for granted, self-promoted, self-organized events run by people between 14 and 22 years old. So, needless to say, he started young, real young in Einheit with Joel, obviously Tim, and I'm forgetting the name of the main dude in Einheit. Tom Kipp.
Okay.
As well as John Caps. I can't pronounce that. So Einheit, Tim says, Einheit was rooted in post-punk, meaning the less hidebound, ultimately weirder cousin of punk, which melded things like dub and noise and krautrock to the energy that came out of any good music made in the late 70s. I say all that because post-punk is used broadly to mean a lot of different things, and that's what I mean when I use it. Fair enough.
As we've covered on this podcast.
Post-punk, really... name two post-punk bands that really sound exactly the same. It's like
not really.
Yeah. Like the fact that Joy Division is post-punk and Killing Joke is post-punk. Like those are two different bands, my friend.
Or Slint, yeah.
Slint, they call it early post-rock, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, just because I think they were like the pioneers of post-rock. Tim says Einheit morphed and expanded from its earliest forms to a comedy out of necessity, the us younger idiots. We brought with us our odd mishmash of stuff that we'd run across and been impressed with, whether it was the Rolling Stones or Dolly Parton or Metallica or whatever. That's how you do it, dude. John Kappas, Joel Phelps, Tom Kipp were all original members of Einheit and older and cooler than me and Andy and Ben Kustra, the first Silkworm drummer. Those guys went along with whatever dumb shit we suggested that wasn't too dumb and gently excised the rest. Super valuable lesson in how to manage being in a group. They were also performers in a way that we kind of weren't and maybe still aren't. Seeing them do what they did was transformative, even as spectators, not to mention being on the same stage with them. These guys give so much credit to Einheit and specifically Joel. Mm-hmm. Like, it's also another interesting thing about that guy. Like, there's no words from him. He's not not in the doc. He left halfway through the band's existence, and they all talk about him with so much love and admiration.
That's great.
They didn't replace him. They just continued as a 3-piece.
Yeah.
Like there's so much like deep love for that guy.
Yeah. So much better than a nasty breakup.
So much. And these guys do seem like loving, genuinely nice people. And he says, in regards to Einheit, he says, for me personally, being asked to join that band at the age of 15 was an intro into the big leagues. When you're that young and exposed to the passion and expertise contained in the Einheit world, you can be a sponge, soak up traditions and inspiration like nobody's business. And that's how I developed quickly into whatever it became and brought to Silkworm a few years later. Now, before I continue with my rambling and endless talking about history and whatever, Andy's my favorite guy in this band. Andy's my man.
I got that.
Oh God.
Yeah.
He's so good.
Yeah.
He's so fucking like one of the most underrated guitar players I've heard in a long time. Just choices he does. And like the first 6 records he's playing with Joel. So it's a lot of, you hear a lot of noise rock, a lot of trading of lines, a lot of clanginess, a lot of like, everything getting bled together. But as soon as it's a 3-piece, it's just him. And there's very few overdubs in most of those albums. And he just fucking lets go. And he just shines. These crazy ass solos are really interesting leads. And also I like his singing voice the most out of all 3 lead singers. So he's my man. He's my man.
I was not keeping track of the different vocalists, but I will say there is some worthwhile guitar riffs and drum beats and even bass lines.
There's a lot of good to be had. As for voices, the more Pavement sounding one, more Stephen Malcolm sounding one is Andy, the deeper one. The really nasally Steve Albini sounding one is Joel, and the other one that's a little bit more on I don't want to say goof, but kind of the goofier voice. Mm-hmm. That's Tim. And they all kind of sing equally. Tim might sing the most, but it's a fair trading between all 3 of them, and then 2 of them once Joel leaves. At this point, we're going to be talking about obviously all the albums and including the early tapes before Michael Dahlquist joined. And Michael's their drummer. As soon as he joins, he's the guy. And it's not just like the drummer that they'd stick with. He was like one of them. He was like part of that. Like he had the right attitude and energy. Apparently he wasn't even that good of a drummer when they first recruited him, which is strange to me because I thought he always sounded good, but they knew like no one was more enthusiastic and intense. Like he put his ass into it and he just fit. But he was killed in 2005 and it was the most upsetting thing it's like up there with Tim Taylor from Brainiac. Maybe it's actually more upsetting. Actually a lot more upsetting than that because his death ended the band because once you lose like a brother like that, there's no point in continuing. But it makes me angry and like really, really fucking emotional. But he was killed along with 2 other people in a car accident. It was not it was a car intentional. This fucking absolute cunt. She was apparently trying to commit suicide by driving into cars stopped at a stoplight at high speed. And they all died and she survived. And then she got off with like 2 years in prison.
Fuck.
And it's like the most unjust, like tragic, almost cruel. Like what like at least put her away for fucking 20 years for vehicular manslaughter. Not even vehicular manslaughter. It was like, I think they call it vehicular first degree or something like that because she intentionally drove into people. But because she was like fucking nuts, I don't know, they gave her like a lot of leniency because she was fucking nuts. But fuck off. Like, and then also what I wasn't expecting was to see fucking Steve Albini cry. I never thought I'd see that. And I was like, holy shit, like devastating. Yeah. I hope she dies alone and not with other people in the vicinity. And that's that. But we're not there yet. I just want to get that out of the way because, it's such a fucking bummer. Bummer out of the way. We're only talking about history and music. I mean, it's for a while. Yeah, what are we covering today? Fucking 11 albums total. Whew. Oh boy. Big, long episode, as you can tell. Hello, you bearded animals. Manscaped now has beard products and is going even further with their brand new Weed Whacker 2.0. The leaders in below-the-waist grooming are traveling north of your South Pole with their revolutionary grooming products. The new Weed Whacker 2.0 and their new beard line confirms they have all the best tools for your hygiene toolbox. Time for you to upgrade your game by going to manscaped.com and using our code EAE for 20% off plus free shipping. Before Manscaped, I was using the same electric razor for years. It was a fine razor. It worked. It was cool. It had the best reviews at the time that I could find. The second I got my hands on Manscaped's Beard Hedger, I promptly threw the old one in the trash because it made it look like a stupid bitch. Gentlemen, meet the Beard Hedger Pro Kit. It is the ultimate package that makes it easier than ever to craft your signature look. It all starts with the cordless electric Beard Hedger. The Beard Hedger is tough on hair but smooth on your face, leading to single stroke efficiency that brings satisfaction one stroke at a time. This waterproof cordless trimmer has a rotary wheel that gives you 20 hair cutting lengths, all with one guard, so no more messy drawers full of extra add-ons. Seriously, game changer. The Pro Kit also comes with 4 dermatologist-tested formulations for your post-trim care. This includes Manscaped's beard shampoo and conditioner, beard oil, and beard balm to moisturize, style, and shimmer your new beard. Plus, the kit has 3 free gifts: a beard brush, comb, and scissors. With a nice beard, your face is perfectly groomed, right? Wrong. You need to keep an eye out for those tough-to-trim ear and nose hairs. Disgusting. The brand new Weed Whacker 2.0 offers improved blades and skin-safe technology with a no-tugging guaranteed. I can confirm, not one tug. Now that you have your face looking great, you must try Manscaped's Performance Package 4.0 for the full-body grooming experience. And good news, the Performance Package 4.0 now comes with the Weed Whacker 2.0 and all of the other below-the-waist grooming products Manscaped is known for. Your significant other will be delighted to see you covering all bases. That means your dick. So get 20% off and free shipping with our code EAE at manscaped.com. That's 20% off with free shipping at manscaped.com and use our code EAE. Always use the right tools for the job with Manscaped. All right, let's get back to it. First album, cassette, whatever the hell you want to call it, came out in 1987. I mean, this says 88, but I thought it was 87. We're getting mixed things here. Discog says 88. I think it came out in 87. Who knows?
We should have got this straightened out.
I think the band formed in 87, I believe, but you know what? We'll say 87. Let's just say 87. Fuck, already complicated. And last album came out in 2004, although they released one more EP, their final EP in 2006, which we're not going to be doing a full thing on it, but I did listen to it and I could talk a little bit about it. But yeah, 11 total. And Here we go, baby. You ready?
I'm ready.
Hell yeah. This is 1987's or 8's Advantage.
Turn that thing down. Not you.
So, pretty rough quality, as expected from a self-released cassette.
There's something about these songs, though, that like shine through the rough recording for me. Though.
These are good songs. I actually quite love this song.
This feels very much like the Replacements Husker Du school of thought.
Husker Du. This whole album is Husker Du. Listen to this. How is this not Husker Du?
You mean Husker?
I do not mean Husker Du. You second shit. I do not mean Husker. I can't tell who's singing on this.
It's definitely the most snarly.
It is. But there's also a lot of simultaneous vocals going on. Mm-hmm. I can't exactly tell who that is on there. Worst.
What?
And this is a very technical. So I had a lot of trouble picking best and worst for this band. And I like this album. I enjoy this album. I had nothing upsets me or offends me about this album, but it is objectively the worst because one, it's the roughest sounding. I mean, that's not really a knock on it. I listen to plenty of music that sounds like ass, but the way it's sequenced and paced is by far the sloppiest and least what's the word, coherent. There's some really baffling choices with the flow of this album. It's also their longest album. It's 56 minutes.
Is it really their long? No way.
Yeah, it's really fucking long and there's a lot of fat, and all of that combined with the fact that this sounds just like Husker Du. It doesn't sound like it sounds just like Husker Du in a lot of these songs.
You know what? I don't give a care. I thought long and hard about this, and I'm just going to give this my personal favorite.
You know what happens to the best of us? My best was your worst on fucking the last discography we did. So
I enjoy how raw and honest this is, and it's not a home run by any means. There are songs that go on too long.
Oh yeah, that's another thing.
A few of these songs they would go on to re-record.
A good amount of them.
That was St. Patrick's Day.
They do record that one.
And for those of you, if you want to check out Even a Blind Chicken Finds a Kernel of Corn Now and Then, that has some of these songs on it.
They record plenty. They record Little Sister. Definitely record Little Sister. Oh, you know what? Maybe that's those two only. Now that I think about it, might only be those two songs.
But yeah, there's this, I don't know. Maybe I wasn't a broken man yet, so I look back on this more fondly.
It is a nice record. It does feel nice going down, but it sounds just like Husker Du, but it's also not Husker Du. There's still plenty that separates it.
There's the song So Much Loss.
Yeah, feels damn good.
When that guitar solo starts, it's almost a metal song, and I wasn't expecting that at all.
This something that we don't really hear. This might be some of the tightest they've ever been, because this drummer, Ben, as much as Michael's their drummer, they're the guy for them, Ben is a fucking insanely good drummer.
Yeah, both drummers are very tight. I can hear that.
They're very tight, but on this album, the drum is basically the first two albums, the albums with Ben, he basically holds everything together. And a lot of his choices are really proggy and really, really interesting choices.
Yeah.
Really good to hi-hat work. And even some cowbell stuff is in there. Very fucking good drummer.
Speaking of making some prog rock choices on Little Sister, I'm is that a Native American flute on that song? Or I should have listened to the re-recorded one, but it's
the re-recorded one is we'll talk about the re-recorded one, but
it's this weird they do big epic, but mellow epics.
So my problem with the mellow epics, even though I think they're fine songs, and I think the biggest problem with this album, aside from the length, and the songs dragging, and sounding like Husker Du, and the production being bad, Push the Sun and Little Sister back to back is fucking insane. They're the same song. They're like the same song.
I felt like those songs were different enough. The one that like kind of felt repetitive to me was Tumble. That one I was like, we just had the big epic.
I'm not a huge fan of Tumble, but so like Push the Sun and Little Sister, I like both of them. You put them back to back on the same album, I only can like one. So that's why I was so glad they re-recorded Little Sister, and it was a different context. They added more to it. They added more riffs to it. They changed the arrangements. Here, it's just the main riffs on both songs are so similar. And we should probably put it on.
Which one, Mike?
Push the Sun comes on first in the album. Let's try that one first.
All right.
Right here. This is a beautiful chorus, by the way.
I was going to say, there's the other reason I think
No, just remember this.
Yeah.
It's fucking awesome, but remember this. Now put on Little Sister. Just next track.
Oh, you're right.
It's the same key. It's the same first three notes.
Yeah.
So they're both great songs, but like logically you'd be like, you pick one of them for the album. And then what they do with Little Sister later on is that's not even how the song starts anymore. So it's like I feel like they knew that they took.
You're telling me they ditched the flute?
I think they ditched the flute, but also
that's a shame.
But it opens differently. It opens with a completely different riff. It feels like a different song. And if that version was on this album, there would be no issue at all.
Yeah.
It's a thing I couldn't ignore.
I think another reason I like this one is there's also like an element of like goth rock to it that doesn't.
How so?
Or it feels gothy to me more than like it's by far the darkest and moodiest thing they'll do.
I don't think so. I think they get there's one section I think they get dark and moody, like in the middle of the career, and then they abandon that.
Personally,
but there is still some dark stuff on here. Like the first few records, it has more dark, probably by volume than most of the stuff. And then also, I'm surprised that you're okay with stuff like the closer. She has everything.
I didn't.
Unless you're not a fan of that.
No, I didn't particularly love it, but that's the thing with the band where I don't like love too much. I got to pick something. So
I mean, I do like it, but it's also like, man, it reminds me obviously a ton of Never Talking to You Again by Husker Du.
There you go.
Again, it's not the same song, but you could. So I was hearing this like. Obviously, they were influenced by them, and I didn't see anything about them. They didn't cite them in any of the interviews. I was like, huh. And then in the doc, in the early days, you see Tim with the Husker Du shirt. I was like, there it is. I'm not crazy. I'm not fucking crazy.
The other thing I'll point out is the song "Pretty Girls." Is a pretty like serious album, and "Pretty Girls" is more playful,
joyful, poppy.
Yeah, it's kind of nice to have that break up all the other things.
Yeah, they have a lot of. I mean, I think it's so funny. Like the albums that they like the most and that fans like the most, I think, are the worst at pacing things with like the more moody and big and lengthy stuff, spaced in between these kind of high energy, uplifting short tracks.
I don't know what anyone likes, so I'm gonna find out.
You're gonna find out. You're gonna find out. But
what says the band about this?
Well, let's talk a little bit about. Thank Christ that we have some info about this, because
this obscure piece of
so obscure.
Yeah.
So Tim said we didn't have zero experience with recording. Both Joel and I had done a lot of 4-track demos on cassette by the time we did those tapes, meaning Advantage and the next album. But we had never been in a studio before, so we were totally winging it on that front. I remember Advantage being a complete cram job and getting done in one overnight session.
Oh shit!
Oh boy. It's not the first time they do that either. Our friend Saxon engineered it and got it all cranked out. We were pretty psyched about it at the time. I had just joined the band and wedged a couple of songs onto it that aren't very good. Joel's shit on there is pretty indelible, whether or not you get the whole picture from the tapes. I think we do, because you hear a significant shift from when Joel leaves in the songwriting. Like the songs feel different.
Yes,
his presence is very much a thing. Andy says in regards to this, he says, I recall Advantage being chock full of really good songs, but I haven't listened to it in years. I think I'll continue not to listen to it so as not to spoil my recollection. We recorded it at the University of Montana radio station with volunteer help. A high school classmate of ours named Saxon Holbrook. He and Ben and Saxon, actually they were all in high school at the time. Holy fucking shit. Considering everyone's lack of experience, Saxon actually did a great job, and I recall Advantage having an appealing murkiness.
There we go.
Here it is. We can still hear all the important elements of the loud rock band with suitable prominence. Stupidly, I think that we mostly overdubbed most of the parts rather than going for a much simpler and vibier live in the studio style, thinking at the time that that's how it was done or something. For this reason, it took way longer and was more painful to record and mix than it should have been, but live and learn.
Well, there we go. I'm glad I'm not crazy.
No. And also live and learn they did, because they would proceed to work with Steve Albini, who is the king of live in the studio recording.
Forever.
Absolutely.
This is also, I should have said it at the top of the podcast, but the most like Steve Albini band, I think, that he's worked with for a long time.
Because he works with a ton of bands that, I mean, he's his job. He doesn't like all of them. So you forget that he's still recording a bunch of bands that don't really fit the bill of like what we associate with Albini. And I thought of this band, I didn't think he would like this band.
But yeah, I would say more often than not, though, you can like see or hear the connection. And here it's just like night and day.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And also watching the doc, you get the sense like, oh, he loved the guys. He liked the music.
If to continue to work with people for decades.
Not just that, his love for this band is way further than that. He would just eventually stop charging them.
Oh,
because he liked hanging out with them. He's like, would we rather cram all this stuff in a stressful situation and crank it out overnight because they can't afford it, or can I just not charge them, have a good record, and hang out with my friends?
What a fucking mensch.
Steve Albini is a complex man, but boy, does he have values. And I fucking God, that's beautiful. I love that.
I don't think he's that I get him.
He's just opinionated. I think that's all it is. Yeah, like most people with I don't know.
I like him.
I love him. I fucking love him. And I especially love his stance on Steely Dan. Oh, everyone Google that.
That's a whole nother podcast, but I will say it was kind of funny and hypocritical.
Oh, absolutely. I fucking love it. You gotta be passionate about something, I guess. He doesn't like them, by the way, which is, I'm a huge fan of not liking Steely Dan. But Alex's personal favorite and my worst, because it's just a different thing. And I think even though there's other albums that I don't enjoy listening to as much as this one, the formulation of it is just is flawed on so many ends, and it's very long. I think it's flawed, but it's very appealing to me in a lot of ways. It's still nice, which is why I didn't give it least favorite.
Yeah.
I can still go back to this one 100%. Yeah. But we have plenty more to get to. You're
gonna have to set the record straight for me on this one, because I'm not sure what I listened to, but we're gonna break it like DX. We're gonna break it down.
Yeah, this one is a little. It's as hard to find as the other one. Obviously, it's still the self-released tape era of the band. This came out in 1989. This is Girl Harbrr. I hope that's how you pronounce it. Already, man, those fucking drums.
Very, very, very creative drumming.
Oh yeah. It's still band at this point.
recorded or whatever, but it does sound better. Noticeably better. Also noisier.
Yes.
Way noisier. This does not sound like Mr. Do anymore.
I can't put it on the playlist we're gonna make, but if I could, this way.
If there will be a playlist, which there might not be.
Whoa, what?
We didn't make one for the sword.
I swore I did.
It's empty when I checked it.
We'll talk about this after.
This is rad.
This is like Noisy the Cure.
Yeah. He's even kind of singing like Robert Smith. It's a great song. It's a great song, and we're leaving it long because we can't find it anywhere else.
Yes. Okay, so what songs?
So because we got these on Soulseek, as we explained earlier, there was a bunch of extra songs on the version that we got.
Okay.
The first 5 are Girl Harbrr.
Okay. So
ending at what's the song? Where's my fucking notes?
Enough is Enough.
Yes, there we go.
Okay. So also I feel like the song "A Tunnel" comes up a ton, or maybe I just
it gets recorded later on.
Okay.
It's Libertine. On Joel's last album they re-recorded.
Mm-hmm.
So a good while from now.
I still wasn't like tired of the band yet here though.
This one I was a little worried because of the execution of this one is just so. First of all, this is the only album of its kind in this discography. So in that alone, I already like it.
Yeah.
It's very long. And this isn't like a long album. There's only five tracks, but if it's 5 tracks, those are long tracks. These are every song goes on way. Even the opener of Pearl Harbor, which I like, it's way too long. It's like 6 minutes of the same things over and over again.
I love that drumming so much. Just give me 6 minutes of
the
that.
Drums are the best part of this album. I feel like even on A Tunnel, even though I do like the version later on probably more, the drums here are incredible. This is where the cowbell is shit.
I was gonna say, yeah, there's like a clicky cowbell or like a brick type thing, and it's kind of overwhelming on this version. I find
it to be kind of cool. And then around 3.5 minutes, it takes a total shift. It speeds up. I don't love the vocal performance on there, and it is rough, but it's still a good song. I ultimately I'm glad they re-recorded. They also re-recorded Enough is Enough. So I think there's only 2 songs on this record that get re-recorded.
I swear I'm not just doing this to be like contrary either. Like I like this version of Enough is Enough better because like I start getting the names mixed up, but they brought up like the dub influence earlier, and you can hear it in this version.
Interesting. Maybe it's because I don't like dub.
Maybe, and then the updated version, like the dub influence is completely gone. I was like,
the rhythm is very different. Yeah, Michael's a very different drummer.
I was like, that was my favorite part of the song.
The reason I like the song, and I think actually, not only do I like the other version better, I like it way more. I like the other version so much more than this one.
You know what? That's probably why you like the band.
Probably, yeah, probably.
So I'm just gonna call them bonus tracks.
I guess I didn't listen to all of them. I don't think
I did this because I listened to it before you texted me that.
Because before you talk about them, I had a lot of trouble finding out even where they're from. I couldn't find them on singles. I checked all of Discogs. I have no idea where these songs came from.
So yeah, I don't know where these songs came from except the one man on Soulseek.
Maybe he knows.
But you have a song like Andrea, which feels more like the Replacements, Midwest punk. Prayer, you get more very cool drumming, and then Inside Out, which is on the compilation. That's like one of their heaviest songs ever, and I like Inside Out.
All right, fair enough. Every song is super long. Each one is vastly different, which is what I like about it. There's a ton of diversity. This might be their most diverse album, period. Which
I think that's fair.
Yeah, it's very bizarre that it's this one.
The second one that's not available
anywhere. Authority is track 3, and it's like one of their first actual aggressive, like tough songs. I do not like it at all.
It's so crazy. I've talked about it before. Like it took me a while to like get into Helmet, but once I'm there, if I'm like, this sounds like Helmet, and there's worse bands you could sound like.
Oh, 100%. Helmet's great, but my main problem with it is literally something as basic and simple as a production. There's no crunch. There's no power. It's one of the weakest sounding heavy songs ever.
Where if Helmet covered it, it would have that crunch and power.
Helmet's a crunchy band.
They're the crunchiest. And
then since we're on the train of how fucking weird and different every song is, Georgia is the only song in their entire discography that sounds like that. It is super new wavy.
Yeah, the drum and bass really shines on that song.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Beautiful. And the guitars are really spacey and shoegazy and really floating around. And it's fucking awesome. Except it's 7 minutes, and halfway through the song, I'm done with the song. Like that's every song on here for me, pretty much.
That one does wear out its welcome a little bit.
It's a very interesting album. It's unlike any other in discography. Let's see what the boys have to say about it. Tim said, by Girl Harbrr, we were down to 3 of us, as Andy had gone off to Columbia University 4 times. So this is the time that Andy moved to New York. He says the sessions were more leisurely in that we did the work over the course of a couple of days. Tim Martin recorded it and did a good job. I've had occasion to listen back to some of it recently. As usual with that older stuff, Joel is the clear ace in the group. I was still kind of fumbling around some moments of insight, but generally don't quite have it figured out yet. But some of it is pretty great.
Hold on, dude. He said he listened to it recently. Put it out.
I don't know if you can.
Okay.
And something we'll get into later on is the fucking, man, it's just so unfair. The relationship with record, even small labels, like they've struggled on every label they've been a part of.
Also, fans of this podcast will know, like, even if I'm indifferent on the band, I'm always
make it available.
I want to like preserve everything. So that gives me a little bit. That gives me a little bit of hope.
Just please make it streaming. I know it costs like fucking $100 a year or whatever the fuck it costs. Just please.
I guess I'm just relieved to know it's not like lost to the times.
Yeah, I hope not. Yeah, because this is like the Joel record if you really think about it. He goes on to say, I would like to be able to go back in time and see any of it live, at least for a little while. We shipped the tapes to some record labels and zines blindly, some kind rejections, some decent notices, some bewilderment. He says, I remember trading tapes with Megan from Calamity Jane in Olympia, and Girl Harbrr was called Girl Harbrr and had a picture on it taken from the Village Voice of a young woman wearing a leather bra. Not super progressive. She looks cold, Megan said. I love that. Such an incredibly polite and borderline diss.
Man.
You would have thought someone from Calamity Jane would be a little uptight.
I've never heard of Calamity Jane.
I heard the name. I never heard them though. And Andy says, Tim, Ben, and Joel recorded Girl Harbrr without me while I was away at Columbia, so I don't have any memories of the recording or learnings either. I think it probably stands up. I recall it being great.
Awesome.
It is so much. That explains why it's so different from the rest. It is Joel's thing, and even though it's not my favorite thing ever, and I there's a lot of problems with it, the diversity and the unpredictability of it I think it
makes it worth a listen.
100%. But after this, that's when they relocated to Seattle. Tim says Seattle was the easy choice, closest big city, and we knew some people there. Other transplants. In retrospect, Chicago or San Francisco or New York would have been better for us as a group, but those places would have been big lifts. I don't know what it would have been like for us as human beings to make one of those moves en masse. Living in Seattle was basic at the time. Jobs were everywhere. Rent was low, and you could keep yourself fed and clothed for almost nothing.
Oh man, what a
fucking wish anywhere in the country was like that now. So they moved to Seattle, and it doesn't get better. So they move in 1990, and they play like some small places, but more or less it was kind of the same deal as Missoula. Like they were always in between genres, and they maybe only kind of fit in with a small group of people or other handful of bands.
Yeah,
like little cliques or whatever, and it wasn't any good. And then what he says when he first arrived, or what Tim says when he first arrives, he says there were too many bands and most of them seemed terrible. In the first couple of years after we got there, 10 and Nevermind and the movie Singles came out, and the whole thing got borderline unbearable. Fortunately, we got out on the road starting in 92 and avoided being around for a lot of that silliness. It says the big thing about Seattle, the one crucial thing was meeting Michael Dahlquist and bringing him into the group. I can't imagine that the Worm would have been. I can't imagine what the Worm would have been like otherwise. Everything else about Seattle was meaningless compared to that.
Oh, wow.
Apparently it was a fucking nightmare because, I mean, Nevermind just comes out.
Yeah.
And then you just get a billion shitty bands trying to jump on the hype train.
Or maybe trying to like labels and stuff, trying to pigeonhole them into that thing. And that's not what they are.
But also, it became so like saturated that there was always a show happening, and they're all the same kinds of bands. So they'll be at a bar playing a thing to like 10 people that just happen to be in the bar. They're not exactly there to see them. They're like almost there by accident. I think one of the members said that's what it felt like, and they didn't care about the band. It was just it was too much. It's a perfect example of when you put too many things in one city, or you jam pack a scene until it's overflowing. So Andy, on his move to Seattle, because he was in New York at the time, he says, it was an easy decision for me. He says, on a beautiful late autumn New York day, I went across campus to this dungeon in one of the buildings where we had to pick up our mail. And there was a postcard from Tim. It said something just like, Hey, Joel and I are moving to Seattle. Ben isn't going. You should move too. And that's kind of all right. He says, I'm sure there was some psychological jargon descriptive for my reaction, some combination of just the right message received and just the right chemical, emotional state or whatever. But my instant reaction was, yes, I was really happy at Columbia. All systems were go. But there was no doubt at that instant that I was going to take the suggestion. And 6 weeks later, we were all in Seattle. I can't
imagine moving to a new city across the country in 6 weeks.
I can on like I get that, yeah. But it's like, I would get it more if like he hated college and he's like, I feel like I should be doing something else.
But he was like comfortable and doing well there.
Yeah, this is good. Whatever. Maybe I'll do it. Maybe I won't do it anymore.
I like my friends more.
Kind of. But it's a whole new thing now. Now we're moving on to, it's still very hard to get a hold of, but it's not a tape. And it was put out it was still self-released. It was just funded by one of their friends.
Yeah.
So there was a little bit more here. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Hell yeah. This is the album I can't pronounce. 1992's Lair? I think it's Lair. L'Ajre.
Close enough.
I think it's Lair. Okay, whatever.
St. Patrick's Day for the
same opener as the first album,
but different.
But a little different.
Different. Yeah.
Quite different, actually.
This is probably the version that's on
the compilation.
Yeah.
Completely different song. Same riffs, obviously, but I'm talking over it. Whatever.
The world around again. They could try to bring me back. They couldn't tell.
I think this is Joel singing. If I had to guess.
No hands reach out to hold me up that special day.
You know what? I don't know. It's probably Joel, but I could never. These early albums are hard to tell. That's a cool shift.
It really is. Very, very unexpected.
Yeah. Oh. Doesn't sound like Husker Du anymore. Same song, but now it sounds like their own thing.
I love when a right cymbal's very bright and pingy, and it sounds like there's more notes being played than there is.
We didn't get to this part in the last version, but this is an excellent fucking excellent riff. Oh, I love this. Love it. It does. Adding that acoustic guitar does
Bring out some other element in that song too.
Yeah, good scenario where I think doesn't usually when a song's re-recorded, it's always like I like this version or whatever. Both versions are cool.
So for these first, for all the songs that they do re-record, this is the only band in recent memory I can think of where I'm excited. Like, fuck yeah, that song is getting the treatment, I guess, that it deserved. It's getting like, it's never just a straight re-record. It's always like a really drastic arrangement change in it too. Like, obviously the original didn't start out with a fucking dramatic acoustic section, and that's not the only time. Every time they re-record something, it's always like we're improving it. We're not just fucking making it sound cleaner, which I always respect and enjoy. This album is where I started getting into the band.
This, I definitely noticed more of a, to put a label on it, more of a shift to that indie alt rock vibe.
Yeah, a little more 90s sounding.
As opposed to I'm just going to call it Midwestern punk because so I know I started thinking more of bands like Dino Jr. and
Sebado and the like. 100%. I noted that as well. Also, this is the first album with Michael on drums, so this is like the core lineup. Everything, as you heard, I don't know who recorded this, but it sounds really fucking good. Obviously, they'll sound better when Steve Albini comes into the picture, but it still sounds fucking light years better than everything before it. And still, some of these songs are probably some of my favorites ever from this band, such as Scrawl and this version of Little Sister, which I think is vastly superior to the original. I fucking love this version of Little Sister. It's so good. It's so damn deep and fucking dark. And it's a whole different thing. It's a whole different thing.
I do like the previous version. I like My Little Sister with flutes in it.
Fair enough.
But I do like from the previous song Slow Burn into Little Sister, how there's like this noisy bridge where it kind of brings them together.
Slow Burn, for one, it is 9 minutes. There is still some insane lengthiness.
It is a slow burn.
It indeed is. I forgot that this band fucked around with insanely long songs in the beginning because they don't do that later on. But I was pretty off put by it. I was like, this is not that interesting. And then as it went on, I was like, it's kind of gaining some momentum. I'm like, all right, it's getting faster and it's really loud. All right, it's very moving. I get that. And then toward the end, I'm like, this is fucking insane. The final 2 minutes is the craziest, heaviest thing they've done yet. It's so cool. And it just turned the whole thing around for me.
Yeah. I think my favorite song on here that's not a re-recorded song or reimagined song is Three Beatings. I like the interplay of the guitar and the bass on that song, and the bass just, like, I don't want to say steals the show, but really shines.
It is the star of the show in that song, 100%. at 7 minutes does go on a bit long for me. I do, but I do like the song. It's songs like that I don't even understand how they're that long.
Yeah. And then the most probably perplexing song on here is Shithead.
The final 2 tracks, I don't know why they were included.
Oh, okay.
I again, we'll probably never know. Shithead sounds like absolute dick. It's worse than the first album in terms of demo quality.
It's crazy. It sounds like 80s thrash sometimes.
Yeah, it has like these gang vocals in it.
Are they gang vocals or are they dogs barking?
Hey, what's the difference? You know, a lot of gangs have dogs in the yard. And DMX did.
Yeah.
Check out that episode for some reason. And then Pearl Harbor, it sounds like it was recorded inside a dumpster, but it is a live track. But it also, we had that Pearl Harbor was the opener on the last album. And this version somehow sounds worse than that. Why is it on here? I have no idea why it's on here.
It's only that person will know.
I suppose.
Yeah.
Because Scruffy would have been a great closer. It's like prog indie. How many songs can you point to that sound like prog indie?
Not too many things.
Yeah, it's I don't love it. It's like some of the other songs in here, but it's still like it has a lot going on. I still appreciate it. And overall, I was pretty jazzed about this album. I mean, it kind of takes a shit on itself at the end with those 2 tracks, but I like the direction it's going. I'm not dreading it, and it sounds fucking satisfying. And it's also, again, I was really charmed by the fact that them re-recording songs is a good thing. Where in most cases it's not, or it's like kind of redundant, or there's a weird ulterior motive for it.
At best, it's a wash.
Usually, this is gonna be a stupid, irrelevant comparison, but the whole Taylor Swift re-recording her whole whatever catalog because of rights and whatever, and whatever. I mean, like, cool, you want your music back, but also you're kind of killing your music by doing that. Like, what the fuck?
I disagree with that.
Thing is, so you disagree with that, and I heard recently someone ask Rick Rubin about it, and the guy asking him, he was like, I think it's a great idea for her to get control of her stuff back and whatever. And Rick Rubin was like, I disagree with her doing that so heavily, because there was something that goes into making a song at the time, even if it's not exactly what you've imagined, it takes on a life of its own after it's done. Like, it is that thing now. And even if you record it as identical as you can, you're a different person now than you were when you recorded that. The era is different. The circumstance is different. How you feel when you're singing is different. It will never be the same. And to not have that original available, I think is that should be a crime. Should at least have everything available. I don't like Taylor Swift, by the way. This is just we're removing her from this.
I don't disagree with I totally agree with all that, but I will always side with the artist.
I appreciate the reason, because you want to keep your shit, but as a guy who also makes his own shit, like, make better shit then, like, because people have an attachment. Because once you make something, at least my belief, once you make something and you release it to the world, it's no longer yours. It's now the world's. Don't take it from those people because you want your thing back. Make something else beautiful, equally good, that they can also enjoy. Leave it for them. It's not yours anymore. I
think the circumstance is so fucked up. I'm just like, yeah, whatever, do it.
I'm just glad I don't like her music, so I don't actually care. But I'll tell you what I do care about, and why I'm actually pissed off about something. It's not exactly the same situation, but it's similar. Last year, they remastered Dirt by Alice in Chains. Fucking dog shit.
Oh shit! You thought
I hated because I've heard the original. Oh, let's just say a lot.
Okay,
a lot. So I know every single fucking frequency in those songs, whether I like it or not.
Yeah,
and there's a certain thing about it that I like and that I don't like about the original mix, whatever. The remaster, it is, when you hear most remasters, it's usually just like a slight cleanup, a shinier version, something that maybe they'll bring up some levels in this particular area. It's such a it sounds like a different mix. It sounds way different. And that's the only version you can find streaming now. They got rid of the original.
Yeah, I don't know that album the way you do, but that does bum me out because I have the remaster, so that bums me out. But whatever.
Yeah, I think what across the board, if a remaster or a remix is quieter than every other song on your playlist, that's not a good sign. And it went from being the same volume to being drastically quieter than every.
Damn.
Like it's a weird master. It's a weird remaster.
Damn, I did not pick up on that. I'm gonna have to give it a try.
If you do a side by side, like it doesn't sound bad, but if you like the original, it is not the original. This has nothing to do with Silkworm. Sorry, but why did we bring this up? Because of the re-recording of songs. That's why I brought that up. Sorry for the fucking detour, but it's a cool ass album. And yeah, here's what Tim had to say about it. He says it was better. It was a better cleaned up version of what we had done on the tapes. Some overlap with the songs, but not a ton. My shit was better. Andy has a genuinely great song in it. Scrawl, I agree. Which kickstarted things for him on the writing front. We played that one until the end of the band. That's actually kind of beautiful.
That's awesome.
I love Andy's songs. I love his singing voice. I love his guitar playing. And hearing that, it's like, this is where it started. Okay, very nice. Tim goes on to say, Lair, man, I really hope that's how you pronounce it. Lair was representative of our development as a group, but it didn't really capture our sound as a whole. It took working with Steve Albini to get that. That said, Little Sister and Scruffy on that thing are awesome and pointed us towards a bigger, more live wave recording on the records to come. Now, this is how this album was released. Fucking wild. He says some friends funded the CD with their wedding money, which was extremely kind, and fortunately it sold well enough to pay them back. No biz people gave a shit or were at all interested in putting it out. You're some good ass friends, dude.
Also, when you're a smaller band, I think if you can get out of the red, that's a win.
That's an absolute win.
It sucks. It's not ideal, but it's better than being in the red.
Yeah, it reminds me of the Jim Croce album. Was it his first one? His first album where his parents?
Oh yeah. That was a wedding.
It was the wedding gift, right? Yeah. They said, here's some money. Do your little music thing. Get it out of your system. Fail, and then get a job at a factory. They're like, they wanted him to get it out of his system. Like, we'll pay for it, just fucking enough.
And he said, "Hey, mom and dad, you don't mess with Jim.
you don't mess around with Jim now.
You don't tug on Superman's cape."
And he went on to be fucking amazing. Love Jim Croce. Check out that episode. Andy says about this album, he says, I think Lair was a pretty linear next step from the earlier cassettes, recorded in the Missoula period. Same style, we had played more and gotten better. In some ways, the more professional, quote unquote, recording was a step backward. The vibe of the mushier, denser Missoula recording suited the material in some ways, an idea that I think was confirmed by the live in the studio recordings included on Lair, which were the best things on the album, I think. So Little Sister and Scruffy were both recorded live, and those are some of the best songs in the album. I think Little Sister more, of course.
I think I'm an Andyman.
Andyman, as a fellow Andyman,
yeah,
he's the man, dude.
I think I disagree with him on most things so far.
Yeah, you're going to disagree with him pretty hard later on for sure. But I'm mostly I'm an Andy man for sure. Although I do quite love everybody in this band. He last thing he says, I don't remember a lot about the reception. Maybe that it started the traditional Silkworm fan response, which is a few people who loved it a lot and a lot of indifference beyond that.
That does bum me out because they worked so hard. They made 11 albums. That's more than the Sex Pistols can say.
Yeah, and they did so much in their career, and they were so consistent. Goddamn. But this next album, enter goddamn Steve Albini, who will stay with them until the very end. And this was put out on CZ Records. And I don't remember the details. It was obviously a very small label. They put out, I think, maybe something by the Melvins, and I forget. But it was like,
I feel like, we've talked about CZ. It's
at least maybe once.
Yeah.
It's like very niche. But they decided to put out this record and the next one, maybe the next one as well. No. They put out just this album, and it was a very brief period. And Steve Albini's now in the picture. And I guess we might as well fucking talk about it. You ready?
I'm ready.
Hell yeah. So this is 1984's In the West.
Hello, Steve Albini. You can hear it immediately in those drums. I believe in this time period, this album, along with the next one, was recorded in the same place that Steve recorded In Utero. Like this weird cabin kind of place.
Yeah.
Maybe it was this. I don't know exactly where it was. I think it was there's a name for it. What is it called? Hell's Gate. That's what it was. Hell's Gate. I believe. That's what they called it anyway. Also, this is a surprisingly moody opener.
Yes. This is my favorite song.
I love this song. And those drums are really the defining characteristic here. They're so busy and they're so upfront.
The bass drum.
Yeah.
Sounds great.
God, it's a fucking pretty ass song.
Yeah, I quite enjoyed it.
I like that song.
Well, sorry, buddy. Best.
Oh, fuck.
I really like this album. I could have gave something else best. I almost gave something else best. This one, I think, just grabbed me from the start and kind of what edge this one out, I think, is the actual flow of this one, the pacing. There's really no dips. And it has, along with, well, most of the albums have at least one song that's like one of their best songs ever, but
yeah,
this has a lot. And I tease it at the top. Raised by Tigers is one of my favorite songs by them. It's one of their fucking absolute best songs. It's so beautiful. It has so much character, amazing buildup. And that song at 4 minutes 30, a full-on Pavement Easter egg, a whole section taken from the song in the Mouth of Desert from their Saunted and Enchanted, Pavement's first album. My favorite song off that album. And I know that line anywhere. It's on the Pavement song. It's a guitar line and a vocal line. They're singing like the same thing, or they're playing the same melody. And then in this song, the guitar is doing that lead in the background while everything else is happening. And it's very clearly in the Mouth of the Desert. And it's like, that's fun. That's fun. And it's also an amazing song on its own too.
I was not impressed by that.
You're out of your fucking mind. It's fucking beautiful. It's so good.
Mike's right. I'm wrong.
And then also this album has the re-recorded version of Enough is Enough, which I think is eons better than the original.
I already stated how I feel about it.
Oh, I love it so much.
I liked the dub stuff in the first version. There's no dub stuff in this version.
There is not, but the drums are, again, Michael is a very different drummer than Ben, but he still deals a lot of the show here, like on Dream 8, which is another song that's really big and emotional and spacious and lengthy, and I think it's fucking awesome. Drums are incredible on that song.
Also, this is not really a screaming band, but you get some screaming.
Very few, maybe one or two times they yell and they do impassioned yell, but there's not a lot of screaming. Yeah, so I noted this with a lot of albums and a lot of songs. And it's very clear, like, when I like something from this band, I can't exactly tell you why it's good. And if I don't like it, I can't even tell you it's bad, because it's just one of those things, like, you might get it and you might be into it and it might gel with you, or it won't. And if you say it sucks, you can't back that up. It doesn't suck, but it's just like, I don't know. It's not for me. I don't see what's so interesting about that. But if it hits that point, that pavement gene in your fucking brain, it just feels great. It just feels good.
Yeah. I don't think I have that gene.
I don't think you do either, but there's still so much that I love on your fucking, I mean, every song, even the closer Pilot, which I don't love. I think it's the weakest song. Even then, I still liked it more on multiple listens.
Wait, Pilot's the close?
There's bonus tracks.
Oh, okay.
And I did note the bonus tracks are a cover of in the Bleak Midwinter, which was put out on a split with Engine Kid, and they did Little Drummer Boy, so it's like a themed split, and then Inconduce California, which was originally released on the Into the Woods single. That song fucking rules. I think it's great. I like
Into the Woods or
Inconduce California.
That one started venturing too much into like the like lyrically it reminded me of like some folk rock stuff.
Lyrics with this band are fucking strange and goofy and kind of funny and interesting.
Also, I really don't know the history of emo music that well, but I feel like at times maybe we should be talking about Silkworm, because there's times like on California where I'm like, this sounds like early, like real emo, not what it devolved into. But
I mean, if Embrace and Rites of Spring, check out both of those episodes, if they can essentially pioneer it, this isn't that far. At least from like an impassioned emotional presentation kind of.
A little Easter egg. We're not that far from talking about an emo band.
We will be tackling an actual emo band pretty soon, which is be the first for us, I suppose. Well, first emo, I guess. But I do actually like the song Into the Woods too. And then the Albini touch here is not just with the drums. Now we got the fucking bass, that punchy, trebly Albini bass. And I noticed in the doc, he's like Tim's main bass was like, I forget what it's called. It's a Travis Beam, but I think it's the Goblet. Is that what it's called? I forget what it's called, but it looks like a goblet. It's a fucking triangle. The body's a triangle, and it's a funny looking thing. Travis Beans. I mean, that's Steve Albini uses Travis Beans. They're like they have aluminum necks. I've always wanted one. They stopped making them in like the 70s or whatever. Very expensive to get one now. And there's a company called Electrical. Yes. It's Electrical Guitar Company. They basically picked up where Travis Bean left off. They started making like aluminum guitars, full aluminum guitar. I mean, Kramer does some too, but these guys took like the actual style and shape of Travis Bean, like they make it all. And King Buzz from the Melvins uses them now. Albini, in addition to the original Travis Beans, he uses them too. And even Tim from Silkworm, he uses both Electrical and the original Travis Beans. And the reason I'm talking about that so much is because maybe it's just the way it's produced, maybe it's the amp, or it's the fucking Travis Beans, because that bass sounds just like Bob Weston's and Shellac, which is more Travis Bean stuff. Like it's a very distinct Albini bass.
Or maybe it's Maybelline.
Maybe. How would I know? I haven't washed my hair in years. Wait, that's not shampoo. They do makeup, right?
I think it's makeup.
All right. Well, I'm not gay then. Whatever. I guess I just proved that by accident. But it sounds fucking great. Really punchy bass.
Yeah, I was a little worried.
This one got you worried? How did this one get you worried? It's so fucking cool.
It just got me worried. I felt something in my stomach, like, oh no.
Oh, I was getting excited because this is like really reminding me of a lot of the post-hardcore stuff I love. It reminded me a lot of Farrakhan and Medications. Check out that episode. A little bit of Unwound, not as noisy, but like in the same kind of like two guitars thrashing around, held together with some really busy drums and bass lines that go totally against what the guitar is playing. And I enjoyed it. And especially like the more epic stuff, the slower stuff where they leave some space. They slow it down. One member will just stop playing entirely and it gets super minimal and it's really, big and emotional. I think it fucking nails it. I think other albums can get a best for sure, but this one is just this. It's like a beautiful blending of noisy post-hardcore with Pavement style indie. It's like my two favorite things in there.
There you go.
I think it's great. I think it's fucking great.
Or if you're me, you thought about REM too many times.
Oh, you get out of my face. You get it out of my face. I don't want to hear none of that.
But obviously I didn't, this is better than other things. So
this is, yes. So on Working with Steve Albini, Tim says, Steve has always just captured what a band does in the room together. Somehow a radical working method at the time. Maybe him being so good at it is what made it radical. I mean, he almost got him fucking bankrupt because of Nirvana. He had such a purely positive influence on us. His work ethic was the same as ours, only exaggerated. Down to earth, no nonsense, dogged. He was immune to criticism and generally insensitive, just like us. We liked him a lot, but didn't care if he liked our music. We heard what we were really doing, and some of it was very exciting. We also made a bunch of adjustments to things based on what our ears were telling us. I learned what my bass really sounded like. Not great. Our first session with him made me get a real amp, and then it sounded great.
Hell yeah.
And he says, what he learned, he says, mainly that you could just record a kick-ass band in the studio kicking ass all at once, and if done completely, it would sound very kick-ass. The meeting of Steve Albini is a funny one between Tim and Steve, how they met, because it was like bad. It was bad for
I feel like he has a lot of awkward first impression.
For sure. So Tim, I think, was working at some radio station, whatever, in the same vicinity as Albini. Albini would go on there. It was something radio related, college related. Don't ask me more than that. And he saw them there. I was like, oh shit, there he is. And then later on, I think he caught Rape Man at a gig. It was during the Rape Man days. Check out that episode. And Tim had known one of Steve Albini's like teachers or something. So he said, hey, Steve, so-and-so says hi. And Steve said, like, that's my old so-and-so, my old whatever teacher. He's like, yeah. And for some reason, I think it was like April Fool's, Steve had a can of fart spray. First he just had it on him, and he sprayed Tim in the face with fart spray.
Why would you do that?
Because he told him that it was insane. And he was like, obviously, like, you know, that sucks. And Steve was like, that was a very mean thing to do. I felt very bad about that. That was a very mean thing to do. So I don't know how long later, maybe like years later. I think it might've been in Missoula. Tim was working at a record store, and Steve went to go visit his parents there, and he goes to the record store, and then he immediately recognizes, he's like, that's the guy I maced with fart spray. Shit. And then proceeds a insanely uncomfortable conversation. Not even about that. It was like a brand new, completely isolated, different, awkward conversation. And once again, Steve was like, I think he asked him, like, are you doing any music lately? And he's like, what? Me? What? No. Because he didn't understand the concept of being recognized or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, he was like really rude and like short, and he just kind of left. The next day, Steve went back and apologized. Like, I've been rude to you twice now. I want to apologize. That was really not cool. I'm sorry for spraying you in the face with fart spray. And then like, that was like the last they saw each other for years. And then eventually they got back in touch, and now here he is making music with them. But that's cute. It's fun stuff. And what I think is their best album, at least at the time of this, it can go back and forth, but I think right now my heart is saying this is the best one. Alex doesn't like it so much. Son of a bitch. But it's okay. It's okay because he doesn't like any of the albums. It's okay. You can like none of them or all of them. It doesn't matter.
Yeah. I'm not why you're here. You're here for Mike.
Please don't. But I think it's time we move on to the next one.
Hell yeah.
So here we are, the last album with Joel. He would quit after the release of this next album, so don't get too used to it. Okay, so I guess we're ready to go then, right?
Yes, sir.
Hell yeah. This is Is this the same year? Holy shit, this is the same year. I didn't realize that. Fucking 1994. I didn't realize. I'm blown away that both came out in 1994. I can't believe I didn't put it together till right now.
That's too much music.
It's a lot. It's a lot of music. This is 1994's Libertine.
This song fucking rips. I love this song. Another really dark, emotional song to start the album with.
I don't love the vocals on this song.
On the way to
This is Andy. I love it. I love Andy's vocals.
I said I was an Andy man, and then I betrayed him immediately.
Immediately betrayed him.
like brains, but we like blondes. I'm no fool, I'm gonna slay them all the people to fool. Firepower in our heavy industry.
The production is very similar to the last one, but the bass drum has been toned down a bit. It's no longer like thumping in your ear.
Lunch. I'm no fool, I'm gonna slave all the people to me. I'm no fool, I'm gonna slave all the people to me. Yeah, that whiny little voice is heard in a crash car.
Beautiful riffs. Ah, I love this.
It's such a whiny little voice, it shivers and walls. It's a beautiful dream for 1940. Let's sell cold journal for a party in Warsaw.
I actually think this is a better opener than the last album.
I like the opener on Into the West better, and this I don't know if this is blasphemy, but for me, Worsley's favorite.
You're crazy. This would also been best for me. You're crazy. This one is what?
This broke me.
How? This one's so oh damn. So one thing I noted here that it's very funny you say that. This is my exact words. If you didn't like the last one, I get the feeling you won't like this one either.
The last one has like bits and pieces I could grab onto. This was very, very minimal what I enjoyed.
Yen plus Janet together, you don't like that? I fucking love that song.
That's like the most melodic song they've done in a while.
It's so powerful. Oh, I love it. It's so slinty too. Let's check out that episode.
I feel like it just goes on for so long.
It does, but it feels more jammy than repetitive. Where the first couple albums, the 7-minute songs, they were just kind of repeating the same 2 or 3 sections over and over again. This is like they drift off and they do these crazy solo for like 3 minutes and then they bring it back together. And so it feels way more jammy.
Well, I always, personally, I'm always like, if it bores me, that's worse than being
angry
or being like outright bad. And this album just really bored me.
This is like this is more in the vein of like early post rock too. A lot of it is the slowest and most spacious songs I've ever done.
Yeah, and it's just like, I don't have any like strong feelings, hatred or positivity. I'm just like, yeah, those are songs.
I like every song on this album. I don't think it flows that well from beginning to end, which is why I didn't give this best, because the pacing issues are pretty immediate. Like Grotto of Miracles is track 2, and the momentum is pretty strong at the gate. It cuts it down immediately. It's way slower and more intimate and quiet. It's a pretty song. I like it, but the momentum I felt was dragged down. And then track 3 is Cotton Girl, which should have been track 2. And it's, it's more lively, it has way more energy. I think it's fucking very cool. But what happened on my second listen, I was listening to this in the car and the first track ends, and you know how fucking Apple Music is. Sometimes it'll just skip songs.
Yeah.
It skipped Grotto of Miracles, put on Cotton Girl. I was like, oh, fuck yeah, dude. And I checked, I was like,
that was a blessing.
But the thing is, like, it was confirmed, like, that would have been a better track too, because it keeps up the fucking energy. And an accident showed me that, like, yeah, that probably would have been cooler, at least in my opinion. They re-record A Tunnel on here.
Yes, still creepy, still spidery,
still very slinty and jammy.
Yes.
I like it a lot more than the original, just like most of the re-recordings. And then this one, I know you don't like, but it's what the fucking doc was named after, and I can't help but love the song "Couldn't You Wait." I love that song.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, there's
something about it. It's like, it's just so simple and catchy, and it makes me sad now when I hear it. Like, it legitimately like bums me out. It obviously because of the connection with the movie, of course, but there's something about that type of song where it's cheery and bouncy on the surface, but it's actually fucking really sad. It just something really sad about it.
Yeah, whenever I refer to a song as like catchy or upbeat, I assume the lyrics are not catchy and upbeat in this.
Well, I don't even know what the lyrics are about. It's just the way it makes me feel.
Another good example of that is Wild in My Day.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't feel like it was a super strong song, but it helped bring some variety and some more upbeatness to this.
Yeah, it does have moments where it separates it.
Does I recall this album angsty?
It is more emotional and dramatic. It's probably one of the most dramatic albums.
Speaking of emotional, Oh How We Laughed. I would say maybe I'm the wrong person to be doing this, but maybe you can make an argument for that being like an early like emo song.
Interesting. I like the song fine. I don't like it. And the reason why I think this is kind of poorly paced, following Yen plus Janet together, it's too much. It's like so much emotional, dark, and moody. I feel like you needed something to bring you back up after that track because it's so like taxing. I find that to be like a dip in pacing, even though I do like the song itself. Honestly, even Couldn't You Wait could be like inspiring of emo kind of stuff. Just how poppy it is. And what was it? A lot of the stuff here, and one good example is the song Written on the Wind, but I could apply it to pretty much any of the bigger, jammier, lengthier post-rocky stuff. It sounds like the early post-rock stuff like Rodan or June of 44. They're all bands that are like heavily inspired by Slint. That came a little bit after Slint, like a year or two after Slint, or after Slint broke up or whatever. And it sounds like that. It doesn't sound like Slint, but it sounds like that wave that came after Slint.
Yeah.
Or it still has like the minimalism
in the spirit of.
Yeah. Like Slint was still its own thing because like they had everything was more concentrated. Like everything was very deliberate. Like the songs were written and rehearsed to a T like that. Whereas a lot of these and a lot of these other kind of bands that I named,
maybe a little more free.
A little driftier. A lot of the souls are more improvised. A lot of more like, let's just hang on this section for a while and then we'll come back together at some point. A little bit more loose. Like you said, pretty much like if this doesn't gel with you, there's nothing, I can't convince you. There's no argument to be made that you're wrong. If
you're like me, that's
I fucking like it. I like it a lot. Even Bloody Eyes, which is like a loud Pavement. I don't know. It's a louder Pavement. I fucking love it.
I will say, I've not given out bests yet.
You have not. I'm so confused.
You should be.
Yeah. Because I'm excited. I don't know what's going to happen, but so Joel leaves and I think it was like there wasn't a whole lot of like, he left for this reason. There was a lot of like, he didn't really like what was going on. He was drifting away. He was being a little bit more standoffish. And then we finally like asked him like, do you want to not do this? And he's like, I don't want to do this.
Maybe I'm a Joelman.
I'm a Joelman too.
Yeah.
All my favorite albums are like the Joel era, or not exactly, but like I like almost everything from his time in there. But on regarding, after he left or whatever, Tim said, I've learned more from Joel than from any other musician I've ever known. No contest. He still blows my mind. Remarkable guitarist, singer, and writer. A truly amazing sax player. He just did a bunch of saxophone stuff for the new Mile record that is insanely good. The way he arranges things is extremely canny. What to put where, what to leave out, when to trick it up a bit, and when to drive a part into the ground. I've stolen all of it I can remember, and it's baked into my own thinking now as best I can manage it.
That's beautiful.
He goes on. Joel gave us soul. God damn. I learned how to tap into my inner thoughts and feelings from watching and hearing him do it. He showed me how to work outside of myself in that way where you drop any intention from what you're doing and just let it happen. Maybe you overstep your abilities a bit from time to time, but it's only when you are fearless and get lost in the endeavor that anything real, much less magical, can happen.
These are the kindest words you can say about another human being. This is great.
It's insane. Like the amount of gratitude and love that they have for this dude who by all accounts just fucking disappeared and he still does stuff. I'm sure they're still friends, but like he just did detach himself from all Silkworm stuff completely.
Too many messy breakups or bad things. This makes me really happy.
Yeah. And you're about to get even happier based on how they responded as a band to him leaving, which I'll get to in a second. So this is more about how he left. Tim says, the process of Joel leaving the band seemed protracted because it was so rough. It really only took a few months to come to a conclusion, which is a while. I think it's like 6 months or something. Like that's kind of drawn out.
How long?
I think like 6 months.
Oh,
if I remember correctly from the doc.
Yeah.
Says we were very close and we'd forged that relationship in isolation together. We were bound by these shared experiences, and it was very hard to feel him moving away from us, or maybe it was us from him. Oh man, this is dark. At the time, I thought he was the one who was losing it, but is it really so sensible to sleep on random floors and eat garbage and play one crappy club after another for 4 or 5 weeks on end? I mean, wanting to not do that seems pretty normal to me now. Amen, dude. Oh, goddamn.
It is like a breakup where that's like different than losing someone passing away and can be just as frustrating in a different way because it's just like, especially the clearly very fond of him. And it's like, why are you doing this to us?
Yeah.
So man, I'm really glad we got that quote. That was inspirational.
It's about to get more inspirational because now Andy has something to say about him. That was just Tim.
Menches.
That was just Tim.
Everyone's just a mensch.
Andy said, based on, in regards to continuing without Joel, he says, that's a huge question, so I'll just have to give you a limited set of impressions. Joel was the founder, so that's a big add to any endeavor. For me personally, Joel was by a lot the biggest single influence on me as a guitarist.
Beautiful. Don't ever change, guys.
No. Even in Einheit, Joel had this quality that I've heard people say about Steve Ray Vaughan, another favorite of Alex's. The guitar music just flowed out of him. It seemed simultaneously and paradoxically instinctive and well thought out. It was always impactful. He was capable of generating absolutely gripping rock, unlike anyone else I had witnessed up to that point. Up to the point I met him, and very few I ever knew or saw in the years after. Given all of that, it seems strange to say, but adapting to his departure was very easy. By the time he left, I think that Tim, Michael, and I had achieved escape velocity individually and as a unit. This enabled us to do the sensible thing, to not even try seriously to replace Joel. We made a few limited attempts in the very early days post-departure, and we were able to fill up the available artistic space by our collective effort. The crazy thing, so he leaves, and what they do is they don't replace him. And they don't just not replace him with another guitarist. They don't replace the parts that he played. Mm-hmm. So in the songs where, let's just say it's drums, bass, and Joel and Andy's silent. Mm-hmm. Now it is just drums and bass, and Andy is still silent. Yeah, it's like one guy in the dog. I don't remember who he was. He might have been a fan. He said it was like when someone's kid died and they leave an empty chair for him at Thanksgiving. It's like, that's what it feels like. They wouldn't even replace the parts. Like, he's gone. The song was like that with him. It is now not with him. Therefore, we're not even gonna. It's bizarre. I've never heard of that before.
It's kind of dark and kind of interesting.
Yeah, because in the doc, the example they show, they actually edited it. I'll try that word again. They actually edited it fucking amazingly, where the song is "Couldn't You Wait." They use that song as an example. Mm-hmm. So they had like the studio version playing during whatever the interviews, and then they cut to a live version of the same song, and it picks up immediately where the live version picks up immediately where the studio version leaves off, except it's a live version just when Joel left, so it's just bass and Tim and drums, where normally there's a whole guitar part there. So you hear where there would have been a guitar, cut to a live version where there's no guitar, and it's like a different song. Damn. It's crazy. So it changes everything. It feels like a different thing. Like that's not exactly conducive to gaining fans and making like the best song possible, but it is like the more artistic approach.
It's a very, very interesting approach where I can't even think of like, oh, like so and so, like this. It's very interesting.
Yeah. I can't say maybe it didn't sound great with every song, but I kind of like that choice. And also a side note on 25th Touch and Go anniversary in whatever year it was, 2010 or something. Silkworm played, but they played without Michael, and they didn't have a drummer. It was just them and the keyboardist. So it's like, yeah, they just don't replace people. It's like, that's how tight knit these guys are.
Yeah.
It's fucking beautiful and super sad.
Yeah.
But Alex's worst and least favorite, for some reason, now they're officially a 3-piece, and they got signed to Matador.
It's a good label.
It's a great label. They, according to them, they only wanted Matador or Touch and Go. Touch and Go didn't really respond, so they went with Matador. And here it is. This is 1996's Firewater.
No more simple tunes. No more easy tune. It takes so many millions.
I actually
to get laid.
love this song now. After hearing it enough times, love it.
And the circumstance that brought
This was another moment where I was just like, yeah, this band's something.
I know, but
circumstance that brought
you hear it enough times, sometimes it'll just click. Sometimes.
yeah, so many fools. It's time to lose the
I wonder if we'll be able to get to the guitar solo here, because it is something else.
boys on the Nile. Goddamn the circumstance that brought you here, and goddamn you, my friend. Goddamn the circumstance that brought
Some 90-ass vocals though, right?
There are some things that sound
goddamn
very.
the circumstance that brought me here, and goddamn you, my friend. Goddamn the circumstance that brought me here, and goddamn you, my friend.
So this is a really good example. Because now that guitar solo is front and center. He's shining on his own now. There's like nothing standing in Andy's way now. I feel like this is an awesome solo. Okay. Sorry that I only wanted to get to
The solo, that's why we left it on that long.
Talking about very 90s things.
Yes.
What Firecracker is kind of upbeat, a little quirky.
Oh, yeah. That one had a video.
Oh, shit.
That was put on like, what's that? 120 Degrees, or that MTV show? Is that what it's called?
No.
108 degrees. 101 degrees.
120 minutes.
120 minutes. There's no degrees at all. I was
No.
wrong with the degrees.
Mike was thinking about boy bands.
I was thinking entirely of 98 degrees the
Yes.
entire time. I know.
Yeah, that song, I was like, I could picture this being in like one of those like teen movies in the late 90s, early 2000s.
Yeah, it's not my favorite thing ever. I find it to be pretty inoffensive, and it comes and goes like really fast. I don't actually love it that much, but it doesn't bother me. This album did quite bum me out. I was pretty disappointed by this one. And this is like one of their biggest albums.
There's some lows here. But I think I can like say there's some highs here.
100%.
Like I think Slow Hands.
Fuck yes. Yeah,
that's one of their best songs.
absolutely one of their best songs.
Yeah.
So that's like every time they slow it down and get bigger and more epic, that's always my favorite thing. You didn't like it so much on the last album, but on
for some reason on Slow Hands, something clicked in my brain.
it's like the same style, but it's, man, fuck those guitar solos. He is so good on this album. Like they're legitimately beautiful solos. They're not just like technically impressive. And you can really focus on it without, I mean, I love Joel, but there's no distractions here. It's all like, he's just killing it. He's
hyper focused in a way. This, it's between this or Libertine for me, but I realize I do like this more than
it does have a lot of highlights.
Another one, like kind of like peppering in some like country stuff. And
this is maybe one other instance they dabble in country, but this is the one where they really, really throw in some country stuff.
The Lure of Beauty.
The Lure of Beauty is one. Also, Ticket to Lane is another one.
And then Miracle Mile is just too funny. Like,
yeah, I like the lyrics. They're charming. I think they do a lot for the song, but I don't care much for the song. It's a solo acoustic.
It's
song.
all carried by the lyrics. Like
100%. Yeah,
the lyrics are what we're there for, and it's too funny for me to like deny it in any way.
A lot of the lyrics are really, really funny, especially Andy's lyrics. Andy's lyrics are like those. He's gonna be writing about some goofy, weird shit, which is fun. I don't know if he wrote that one though. I forget.
I think Drag the River, man, the bass playing on that song is great.
Oh yeah. I like the song. It didn't like stick out to me as like a favorite, but I did enjoy that one.
There was something about that bass line on that song where I was like, this is really fucking cool.
All right. What else do I like on here? Fucking Swings has really great drums. It's an interesting song because you could hear how much he's holding back in terms of volume.
Mm-hmm.
Like he's playing like, a pretty energetic beat, but just really quietly, which is a very difficult thing to do, to play fast and quiet at the same time. But it gives it an interesting feel. It's a very odd rhythm that I can't think of another song that even sounds a little bit like that one. I dig Tarnished Angel, which has like a nice tinge of sadness.
Those are all songs
it's pretty straightforward indie stuff. Yeah.
The middle of the album was rough for me.
A lot of it I think is fine, like Severance Pay, it's fine. There's nothing wrong with it. I can imagine it getting stuck in my head. It's catchy. It's just not my favorite kind of thing. My favorite song on the album, my favorite song on the album is for sure Slow Hands, but up there with it is Don't Make Plans This Friday, the closer, which I think is a nice fitting closer. It has like, and it's like, I find it to be a little bit lacking in energy. And it's also hurt by the length of the album. And like the 2 tracks before it, I think are some of the worst songs in the album. So I think it's just put in a bad spot, even though it's a closer, but I think it's objectively very good. Actually quite love that song, but Killing My Ass, I don't like it very much. It reminds me of like NoFX kind of style stuff, and I don't like that very much.
It was like, again, not in execution, but maybe like the way the lyrics are being, it was too like alternative folk for me.
It does teeter on that. I'm not a NoFX fan really, but I did see them once at Occupy LA like 10 years ago.
Yeah.
It's actually more than 10 years ago. Like they did an acoustic set and I was like, it's free. I'll go. I don't fucking care. And it was a lot of that. Kind of like singing along, really impassioned,
Is Fat Mike in NoFX? Yeah, NoFX.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, I saw NoFX once too, and I don't know what songs they played. It was just him talking shit the whole time. And
that's fun.
It was fun.
Yeah, it was a fun show. I don't love the music so much, but it is fun. It's fun.
Yeah.
But yeah, I didn't expect Joel's absence to be this profound, and that bummed me out. And I didn't really love the style, the direction they were going in this one too much. Except, I mean, everyone fans fucking love this album. This is the closest they ever got to being successful.
Okay.
This album. This is when Pavement took them on tour with them. Obviously, that signed to Matador, so they were feeling optimistic. But their records from beginning to end just didn't sell. They just fucking never sold. And they would play all over the world to consistently small crowds, always like sold out, but tiny crowds. And so they would only be hitting like a certain tiny group of people that it resonated with. It's like the definition of a niche band. Like to make that successful is so much work and it's so difficult.
Even on a 2-hour plus long podcast, they still can't get a W, and it's 50-50.
It's 50-50. Exactly. It's actually almost a perfect representation of what this band went through. Like, we'll show you, but half of you are going to fucking hate it. It's basically what it is.
I'm sorry, guys, but you're lovely. I love your answers. I love reading and hearing your response to Joel.
You don't gotta love, you don't gotta love every music you hear. It's not up to you ultimately.
Respect these guys.
Nothing. I mean, as musicians and as workhorses, it makes you mad that like all that work, like they didn't get more out of it, but more importantly, what they got out of it was. I'm using the word more too much, but what they got of it was ultimately way more than if they were this arena act, because goddamn, like, because before he died, Michael, he was the only member of the group that would keep journals about the tours and about whatever, and he would post them online. He would post them like he had like a website or a forum or something. So
I went to the website,
old website. I don't know if that's the same one. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know why nothing really works, but I went to the website when I was trying to find
the current website is like dead and is like most of the links don't work. I don't know. So I don't know where
it's also cool. This like, man, that website is like time capsule. 100%. What websites used to look like.
Exactly. But wherever he posted it, it would always be like updates. And most of it was like just grateful and excited to be on the road and always looking forward to the next thing. Just taking in every experience. It's the motherfucker lived the way we should all strive to live. And again, that makes you sad that he was the one who's, tragically killed, but it's also like he lived more than we did just by the way he lived, like by documenting that and appreciating every little thing and making sure everyone around him felt great and everyone liked being around. Like that's like the kind of thing you do. So yeah, they fucking struggled, but They did more. Did more in the hearts. Oh God. All right. Spiel over. So in regards to adjusting as a newfound trio, Tim said moving to the trio format was a big deal, and superficially you'd think being on Matador would be some kind of sea change. I do like those two records, referring to Firewater and the next one, Developer, quite a bit, and there's a stubborn kind of creative ambition to them that warms my heart. And speaking of the Developer, we might as well move on to that one.
Yes, sir.
Hell yes. So this is the last one on Matador. This came out in 1997. This is a Developer.
I love the way the drums sound on this track.
They do sound really great. Really big.
Send a letter to the next one on the list, and if he wants you to be there, I will let you go.
What an interesting choice of an opener. More moody than they've ever been in an opener.
Did you think it took television to get strung out on that pine tree in the snow? I remember when I took a walk to any place, didn't care what time it was, trip to lost cities.
And looking at what albums are coming after this is kind of like the last time they go dark.
Yeah, that's a fair assessment.
I hear a strong.
That's very cool. It's a great bass line.
Interesting opener. Very cool opener, I think.
Yeah, this one feels more focused to me.
So I felt the same. I mean, for one, it's half the length of the last one. I don't know if I mentioned, but Firewater is like their second longest album. It's a very long album. I felt it dragged on too much for that reason. This one is very similar to that one in style and everything, but it's more focused, has better pacing. It's way shorter. It's like a breeze compared to it.
Yeah. They're really bringing their A game on like quiet, pretty melodic riffs on this album, like the opener, and then The City Glows. Just like good melodic stuff on here.
I don't love the song, but it's great for pacing. It slows it down at just the right point in the album.
Surprised to hear like a fuzzier driven track like The Devil's Beating His Wife.
Oh right. Oh man, I don't care for that one.
Oh man, it's so funny what this band particularly what I like.
It's what you like I don't like, and what I like you because I like pretty much every other song on the album except for those two.
I almost gave this, it was my best for a while.
Really?
And then I think I ended up choosing Violence with my pick, but
all right.
This is up there. This feels more like, I was like, I can't give it to that first album because it's just so obscure, but like this feels more representative of what the band is.
It is a way better representation, which is wild that this one was like this is like their one letdown album, like the one where everyone.
That's crazy to me.
It is. No, I think it's crazy too. I mean, for one, they were dropped from Matador because of it. Like not only did it not sell well, which none of them sell well, but like the main dude from Matador, or one of the main dudes, he said like when we heard it, we didn't think it was quite as impressive as Firewater, and we were disappointed by the lyrics and the music. I'm like, wait, what? How? Like, why? Where? If you like the band, where? Because like, if you don't like the band, fine. Then they all suck.
Yeah.
But like, if you do, how is this any worse? How is this not actually kind of better?
Yeah, I mean, as a not fan, I think it's better.
I did enjoy it more. I mean, as an album, maybe not the songs individually. Like the last one had really amazing highlights. This one, I think, as a full album, it has better flow to it.
I don't love songs like Goodnight, Mr.
Oh, Maham. I don't know how to pronounce that.
Yeah, I don't really care for songs like that, but I think if you do like more of that indie rock style, it's a fun song.
I like it. I kind of dig it. It's it's minimal acoustic guitar and drums. It's story driven, kind of lyrically, and it feels nice. I don't think it's not revolutionary or anything, but it's very nice. Feels good.
And then It's Too Bad is another one where I just love the way the drums are recorded so much.
Big and powerful. It's a moving track. I like it a lot. I think it's a great closer. I also feel the same about Sheep Wait for Wolf, which, I mean, those songs are just more my speed. The more moody, slower, epic stuff. It's always been my favorite. And Sheep Wait for Wolf, it's like, when that comes on, for me, it just beats the shit out of everything else so hard. It's like, God damn it. It fills me with stuff. It's Too Bad as a great closer as well. And like another perfect example of this fucking band is Ice Station Zebra, where it's like, it's cool. I can't verbalize why I like it more than the other ones. It's not like it's so much better. It's all taste. It's just it's just, there's no words. And there shouldn't be. If you fucking like it, you like it. If you don't, you don't. You're not wrong for either one.
I think some people could put it into words.
Fuck them. They're not here.
They aren't here. We're here, baby.
We've been here for a while. We're going to be here a little bit longer, too.
I've been at Mike's house no, that's an exaggeration.
A good while, though. Yeah. So they get dropped from Matador, and it's shitty. But like they were I think they didn't even really want to put out this album. Like they already knew from Firewater that like, well, if that didn't do it, with the tour with Pavement and all this, the MTV stuff, like it's probably not going to sell that much, but fuck it. We'll do it. All right. We like you guys. We'll do it. And like, I think everybody knew, it's like, all right, we're about done here. And of course they dropped them, which is fucking sad because they explain it pretty well in the doc where they're like, labels like Matador and Touch and Go and fucking Discord. There's also a Discord playlist. Check that out. And on all these Sub Pop, whatever, all these cool indie labels where the draw is that that label puts out bands you like. Or I mean, the way we kind of are with Sargent House, like I don't love everything else Sargent House, but they put out so many things that I love.
It's reliable.
You can go straight to the label and find stuff. And was way more like that in the 90s. So a lot of these labels, they know they're not going to make up really any money by keeping these bands. They keep them because they want these bands to keep making the art, and they won't be able to anywhere else. And in both with Matador and eventually Touch and Go, Silkworm was like, yeah, we were one of those bands. We need you to house us and feed us, and so we can keep doing this.
Yeah.
And they just got fucked by both of them. They're like,
oh man,
you guys really aren't selling. We can't keep you.
That breaks my heart more.
Awful.
More for Touch and Go. This because of how much of we've covered them, and I feel like this like attach or like comfort with the label now.
You want to trust a label like that. Where like these bands are not going to fucking be household names that everyone spends millions of dollars to go see. We need you to keep them alive so we can enjoy them. And some of them are like, but these guys are really not bringing any money. It's like, fucking take the hit, please, for the art. It's selfish to say. I'm not running a business. They're running a fucking business. Yeah. But it is sad that, like, man, there's sometimes they just don't have a home.
Yeah, I forget who it was, like an older artist. They were talking about being on a record label, and they were like, yeah, you know, like the Black Sabbaths and the Bonnie Raitt's were paying for us.
Yeah.
Like those bands just cleaned house, and then the label was able to keep us, and you don't really hear about that too often now. Also, what Silkworm did, they would often like take pay cuts so their openers would get paid. Oh shit.
And they would go to like the opener, and they would buy all their records from their openers and whatever. Like they're
these guys
good people.
Yeah, holy
just
shit.
Across the board, like doing things the way human beings do it, not doing it the quote unquote smart way or the business way, or just being being a good dude and being an artist and doing everything only because you love doing it.
Nice.
I love it. I love it. But now they're on Touch and Go.
Yeah, we made it.
And I believe they all moved eventually to Chicago one by one. It took them a while. I think Andy moved first after they got dropped from Matador. I think they were like, we need to reevaluate some things. We can't keep doing this full time because it's
not realistic.
Unrealistic as fuck and completely unsustainable. And it's just not working. So I think they all just kind of like got jobs and like agreed to still do the stuff, but like maybe a little bit less vicious and vigorous or whatever. So Andy moves to Chicago. It was a little bit vague on the dates because this next album came out the following year, so I don't know exactly when everything happened, but he replaced the guitarist for Bush, couldn't make a tour for whatever reason, so they got Andy to replace him, that's fucking wild. And
it's funny because at one point, I don't know where, but at some point I was like, this sounds like a Bush song.
Oh, that's funny and blasphemous, but also funny. He goes on tour with Bush, and I think Michael went to see one of the shows. It's obviously this fucking, outdoor arena type thing. And I think he wrote about it, and it was so like, it was beautiful and cynical, where like he was talking about how once the music gets big enough, it just stops mattering. The people there aren't there for the right reasons. They're not enjoying it the same way you enjoy it when it's small. It's like a whole different thing. It's not even, you can't even call them the same thing anymore. Sure, you're both playing music on a stage, but it's not the same thing. And it ultimately, like the sentiment of the whole thing was like how much he loved doing what he was doing and loved Silkworm and loved playing and doing things the way they did it, even though it wasn't making them giant famous names.
Yeah.
And it was like, again, like loving things for what they are, not for what you wish it would be in the future. Yeah. It's a beautifully stoic way to look at being in a band that's dying.
Very nice mindfulness being in the present.
100%. But this next album, first one on Touch and Go, this came out in 1998. This is Blueblood.
So I think, correct me if I'm wrong, if you might, I don't know if you'll know or not. Maybe lower one. There we go. I think this was recorded. No, this is the only album I think not recorded by Steve in this era.
Oh shit!
It was mixed by him, but it wasn't recorded by him. And I thought it was crazy when I first heard this because I thought, like, this doesn't sound nearly as good. And then I read that. So maybe someone didn't record it as well as Steve here. I actually do quite like this song. Let us talk.
Yeah, one of the weaker efforts.
Least favorite. Yeah, this is the one I would have given worst to this one, but I don't think it's nearly as like rough on a whole structural level and the way it's put together and the way it's recorded and performed. In the first album, I think is just has too many flaws. But I don't enjoy listening to this one so much.
No, there are very few highlights on here.
This is like the first album, I think, up to this point where nothing on here counts as one of their best songs.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
I know they said they added keyboardists around.
They added keys and like Libertine. The guy's name is Matt. I forget his name. I'll read it right now.
But this is like the first time where I feel like it's very like noticeable.
Yeah, Matt Cadane, and he didn't join in Libertine. My mistake.
Okay.
He joined in 2002, so he's not even here now.
Okay.
But I don't know who's playing him on this. I'll find out in a minute.
But yeah, I must prepare. I do like the piano on there.
Oh yeah, I forgot. Like the key elements really do feel like a sudden shift. But I do like it a lot.
Yeah. Red Eye, I don't really like the vocals and guitar on there, but I do think the drums and bass are doing neat stuff.
Piano, Brett Grossman plays piano on this one. Red Eye, I don't care for it at all. It's
at all.
It's like heavy Southern rock vibe, which is rare that they do that, but occasionally. And I don't even like Said It Too Late either. It's like nice and fuzzy indie. You know, it's like not awful, but it just does nothing for me. And go ahead.
Like maybe the best song on here is probably Empty Elevator Shaft.
I like it a lot. And actually, weirdly enough, Michael sings on that one.
Oh shit.
Which is maybe the only song that he sings lead on.
It felt like they were channeling television on there, specifically the way there's like these guitar flourishes that this kind of like specifically Marquee Moon.
All right. But, okay. Okay. I know what you're talking about. That's interesting. Yeah, it's a good song. I do like it. But most like most things on here, I wouldn't call it one of my favorites, or I wouldn't really return to it. And the same, like, again, like I'm repeating myself at this point, but like Beyond Repair, I can't explain why I like it. I just like it.
Yeah.
It's all taste. I really do dig the intro to Ritz Dance. It's one of the moodiest things on the album. I think it's very strong. It's not nearly as dark and post-rocky as they were before, but it's like, you know, it's the closest thing on this one. It was pretty conflicted about the closer, Clean Me Out. Because go ahead.
Oh yeah, I was not a fan of Pearly Gates or Clean Me Out.
I don't like Pearly Gates at all. Like I don't like it. But what it showed me was like, it's pretty bad on that one. The amount of happy sounding things on here. Like this is a pretty happy album. Pearly Gates is you know, very, very, very indie and poppy. Well, not poppy, but you know, And then Clean Me Out basically was just as bad with that, like super happy. And it's like, man, these are all so, there's no moodiness or like there's no dips and deviations. But the baritone guitars on Clean Me Out kind of fucking rule. Mm-hmm. And eventually, like it just kind of won me over. I call it a net win at the end of it, just because I love the way it's performed. And there's a lot of great sounds on it. Is this the worst thing ever? No. Like track 2 is I Must Prepare, which is country western Pavement, essentially, which is fucking unique as shit. And the baritone guitars on this album, this might be the first album he starts using baritone guitars. Tim, and they always sound really fucking cool. Mm-hmm. But because they're like a live band, at least the way they record it, most of the songs with baritone guitar don't have bass on it. So you lose a lot of low end, but you do get a different and pretty cool texture in lieu of it.
Nothing to do with the music, but staring at the picture of Tim on Discogs, looks a lot like actor Billy Burke. This is going to be good.
Oh, yeah, that's good. Damn. That looks just like him. From that little tiny little...
I know you have a lot of editing to do.
Dude, that's not bad.
Maybe we could get a side-by-side of Tim and Billy Burke.
Yeah, that's not bad. Fucking Billy Burke. What is he from?
Twilight.
Okay. Yeah.
Also, so bad it's good television series, Zoo.
I never even heard of that.
No one has.
Oh, all right.
We've spent enough time here. I can't.
Fair enough.
Can't wax
poetic
about Zoo as much as I would love to.
But this is my least favorite. It's the one I'm definitely not going to return to. I don't personally like any of these songs, but it's not like awful. I can't explain. Especially as a guy who likes the band, it's harder to explain why I don't like it. Like it's not that much different. It's just these particular sequences of chords don't move me the way the others do. I don't know.
Music's weird.
But we got a few more. And we still have picks left. We're not even done with picks. We still have so much more. All right, now we are, I don't know if they're all in the same city, but either way, this is a whole different approach. It's a different style.
It's the new millennium, baby.
It is a new millennium. It is 2000, baby. This is 2000s lifestyle.
This one and the next one are like some of the most quirky things they've done.
Quirky is an interesting way to put it. You're not wrong about that. I didn't think about that. What an odd choice for an opener. I've been saying that about a lot of albums.
Oh, because they all are. Yeah.
They're not like, most of the openers aren't what you would imagine.
Yeah.
And this is like a ballad almost.
Keep away from me, I'll keep away from you. That American seems so strange. His face, it wears a rictus of pain.
Overall, very pleasant and digestible. There's nothing like, you compare this to fucking Girl Harbrr.
Yeah, this is almost a different band. I'm not like a big fan of these songs, but I thought maybe they were doing something. I mean, they are doing something different, but you know, they do go back to kind of their MO of
indie, fun-loving, with some quirkiness. Well, not quirkiness, but a lot of quirkiness. But I was thinking more like the crazy guitar stuff.
Yeah, like once you hit That's Entertainment, we're back to as is. I do think Treat the New Guy Right, the piano and female vocals help it stand out from the rest. But
definitely,
that is a formula they will revisit.
Yes, it is. This is the album I think everyone considers the best.
What the fuck?
Yeah, this is not only does like the fans. This is what perplexes me about this band is everyone who loves them is so on the same page. The band, this is like their favorite album. The fans, this is their favorite album.
I love going into these unknown bands. I don't have any context.
No context. No, absolutely none.
I'm like, I've been living in a fucking cave, and that is just so.
If I did not learn that, I would have never guessed. I would have
never guessed.
This is a fine album. I think it's a good album. I think it's actually significantly better than like the past 3 albums. Especially in terms of like the formulation, the structure of it.
I think Developer's better than this.
I don't know. That's actually tough because I compared a lot of albums. Like I would listen to like an early one and then a later one. I didn't do it with those 2 though, so I'm not sure. But a lot of these songs, like this is all super well done. I just don't love this direction.
Like Roots, I don't
like. Yeah, don't care. It's well done. In terms of those types of acoustic songs, which they've done in the past. It's not for me. And then, I mean, there was a lot of stuff I do like. I do like That's Entertainment. The country influence, the country stuff is back on that one, but I think it's fucking beautiful.
Country you get full blown country. Well, not full blown, but the Bones.
The Closer.
There's some good guitar playing there, really blending the alt rock, indie rock with country stuff.
More acoustic stuff on that. Beautiful. I again, not a fan maker, I guess, but I fucking think it's great.
I think Ooh La La is a fine cover.
It's
just a fine cover.
It's just a cover. I would rather it not be there just because it's not like they changed anything from the original. It's just a cover. And I honestly don't even like the original.
There you go.
Not really a fan of the original.
I'm so taken aback that this is.
Yeah, this is like I think the most people consider, along with the band, like this to be. They like the next one as well, but like this one is like the best flow, the best one that everything just kind of landed with this one, which is like I don't see anything wrong with it. I just don't like the style so much. But it does objectively have really good pacing. Was it Slave Wages is like a perfect follow-up track where it's way more fun. It's a little bouncier, way more energetic than the opener.
Upbeat.
Very, very.
Still quirky.
Yep. I actually do like the vocals more than ever now. Andy has more gruffness to his voice, a little bit more of a handsome guy voice, if you will.
Handsome guy.
Which I don't like handsome guy voices, but I think he sounds good. He sounds like a burlier Stephen Malkmus, which if you look at both of those men, they're not burly, but it has like a little bit more, just more gruffness to it. Yeah, it's like I wish I had more to say about this album, considering they love it so much, or most people enjoy it so much. But it's like what it is. It feels to me like a fully formed and evolved band that happened to evolve into something that is just not my bag. It's definitely not your bag, but it's like if you were following them the whole time and you like what the direction they were going, this would be that peak. Like I think in terms of like the next album sounds a lot similar to this one, but this one I think as an album is a better, more cohesive album, and it is put together really well. But it is softer than ever. It's more accessible than ever. It's more gentle than ever. Nice than ever. It's very nice. There's not a whole lot of diversity in here. All the songs kind of feel the same.
Nice is a good word.
Yeah, that's what it is. It's a nice album. Not my favorite, but apparently there's a lot to be had here. So go fucking listen to it, I guess. In regards to recording at Electrical Audio, Tim said, Electrical Audio is the best and still the best. Purpose-built, no extra anything, wanting for nothing. Just all the stuff you need to make a great record, including the people. No kidding.
These guys are the best with words on giving compliments.
Oh, 100%.
Sorry, that was the clumsiest sentence.
Beautifully ironic is what it was.
Man, I just pay these guys to like, do they like cameo?
Oh yeah. You just cameo them compliments to other people.
Yeah, and it doesn't matter. No one knows who they are. They're so good at it.
You're just gonna feel nice.
Yeah.
So this is more regarding this album. Tim says, Lifestyle and Italian Platinum felt like a jump to me even at the time. I think I will always listen to those records and think we basically nailed them. We had reached a level of true assuredness technically, and our writing was relaxed and natural, yet honed in directly on whatever bullshit it was we were trying to say. There's just a surplus of great stuff on those two records in particular. When he was asked which album he thinks is the best introduction to the band, and he said, I think that Lifestyle is probably the best combination of flow and hookiness to have the best chance of making an impression. Interesting. It does have the best flow, or at least one of the best flows. But I think they do have better songs. Just one man's opinion.
I'm gonna stay out of it. I shouldn't even be here.
Anyway, everyone's favorite and best, but not ours.
Don't listen to that.
Yeah.
But also you're listening to us, so you've already lost.
You've already lost. I'm sorry to tell you. Okay. But we got, two left? We're already there, almost done. Holy shit. And here it is, the other half, the other one of Tim's favorite albums. This is 2002's Italian Platinum.
Already so much louder.
Very like classic rock.
Oh yeah, yeah. Actually, this sounds louder and fuller than like the past few records. More gruff Andy singing. This song has heart in it. That's what I like about it.
It is very like what they just said about the studio. That's what this song is. It's just bare bone.
Yep. Very raw.
Is it always the same girl or different girls singing on it?
I don't know.
Discogs.
That's a beautiful chorus, though. That's Kelly Hogan. She does sing lead on a song on this album as well. I guess I think so. Yeah. No. Maybe. No, I'll double check. Yeah, it is Kelly Hogan.
Goddamn, that song I think is very nice. And this album is the other one that people refer to as the other best. And
you know what? It's not even fair for me to say I don't.
what?
To say I don't get it because whatever.
Yeah, it's not Alex's band. It's fair. It's fair. I think it's just as good as the other one. Pacing not quite as good. Presentation, I think, a little bit better.
Yeah, I don't know. There's like this gritty. Well, I guess you could say this about a lot of bands. I don't know. There's just this character about them in the early days, and now it's just a band I don't recognize, and I can't even say it's a bad thing.
I agree. It's a completely different thing. It's like kind of like what I said. They blossomed into a band that I normally wouldn't have jumped on board with to begin with.
Because bands I do like when they do these drastic changes, I'm all for it. You can't do the same shit over and over again. This happens to be like twice that it's not for me.
Yeah,
it's just like the old you. It's too clean and too nice for me.
It is very clean. It is very nice. I hear you loud and clear. I 100% get that. And I guess what they were trying to do was that. What the fans wanted was that. Well, it's crazy. Like, that's what I don't like in music, but that's what they were trying to do. So, all right, that's just agree to disagree, I guess.
Yeah,
that's interesting because there's still a lot of good stuff on here that I actually quite like a lot.
There are some like weird outliers, like The Brain.
Oh, right.
It's like some dancey punk stuff with this keyboard thing. I'm gonna give that a thumbs up.
I'm gonna give that one a thumbs down. I mean, it's not.
Of course you are, because
It's nothing. It's not bad. It's nothing wrong with it. It's just I just no longer care for like the style of that. I found like the first chunk to be a little wonky. Because again, even though I mean I love Lifestyle, but I like the way it moved. This one I think kind of throws a wrench in with Is She a Sign, which is like I like it more on multiple listens. But it is moving more toward. It doesn't sound like early 2000s indie so much.
I disagree.
But it's moving in that direction. It's like it's in the same ballpark now. Whereas before it was only like Pavement indie, the indie that I love.
Yeah.
And now it's moving more toward what I don't love.
Yes. Speaking of throwing wrenches into things, I feel like the keyboard on White Lightning is so like out of nowhere, but not.
Oh yeah.
But not in a bad way.
Not at all.
Like, yeah.
It's
my favorite part about that song.
Same. It might be a clavinet or an organ. I think it's a clavinet.
Okay.
But it's fucking great. And that's also the song is more on the darker side, which we haven't gotten in a while. Really cool. And so at this point we have Matt. I remembered his name and then I fucking forgot his name. Matt Cadane. I think
keyboards.
On keyboard. He'll be here for the next couple, and he's really fucking good. And all of his key solos are always, they're never cringy. They're never like out of place or like, all right, so they're using keys now. No, it always feels like, oh, that's a cool weird solo. And especially with like the effects he uses on it and some of the organ stuff. I don't know if it's on this album or the next one. It might be this one. It is on this one. The organ solo on A Cockfight of Feelings. Man, like I don't love the song so much, but that organ solo is fucking melting. It's so beautiful.
First of all, love the title for the song.
It is a great title.
I'm very meh on it as well.
Yeah, it's one of the most generic chord structures I think they've used in a song.
You know why? Because they were hanging out with Bush. That's the one.
You know what? I see why there's a lot to be had there. I love that organ solo.
Yeah.
The actual verses and choruses, I think, are the least interesting things they've written, maybe in the entire catalog, which is odd. Like
it's no glycerin.
It's a Christ.
Having been waiting to use that.
I know. For like the past hours, like, I'm holding on to it. But having said that, The Ram, which comes on right before that, I think it's one of the best fucking songs on the album, easily. That
is a very solid, somber song.
Oh yeah, it has some of the coolest riffs they've had in a while. I mean, in my opinion, and like stuff that it really veers from like the familiar indie path.
And then Young, they just go full piano and lady vocal, and it fucking works.
It works. Full on piano ballad. Full piano ballad, female lead vocals, like not the way these guys kind of like passionately just fucking do one take, and if it's off key, fuck it, whatever. I mean, she's a full on singer. It's like this is a different thing completely.
Absolutely.
It's nice. It's very pretty.
Very nice, very pretty.
Very nice, very pretty. Last thing I'll note, well, I do like Bourbon Beard a lot too. LR72, whatever. I like that one more and more. I think I was fine with it at first, and then I heard it like a handful more times. I'm like, yeah, that's probably one of my favorite songs by them. And the solos are fucking amazing. We haven't been talking too much about the solos and the guitars stuff, but basically on every album, when there's a guitar solo, it fucking rules. He really does bring stuff out of songs that maybe I wouldn't even have paid much mind to.
Like you pointed that out on...
It was an earlier album.
Firewater.
For sure, Firewater. But like, it never goes away, is what I'm trying to say. Like, they're always... He's the fucking man. But yeah, this is it feels like more the same, but with more diversity. It's like Lifestyle, but grittier, more experimental. And I do say that loosely, but there's more variety. And the presentation, I think, is ultimately stronger, but the flow is a little bit more iffy. When asked which albums are best to introduce new listeners, Tim said, I'd have to pick two, Italian Platinum and Libertine.
I apologize, Tim. but you're a beautiful human being. So
you get the scope and a lot of great music from that combination. I think that's actually not bad. I think that's not bad.
That's a fair assessment if you like the band or if you're in the band.
Fair enough.
And
Andy said my personal favorite is Italian Platinum, but it doesn't flow as well as Lifestyle. But sonically is incredible and all songs are great.
I feel like someone made fun of us for saying sonically once, and it's just a term.
Oh yeah, it was our buddy Daniel, who guest on our Death Clock episode. Dude, he made his fun of us for saying sonically one time, and I've never used it again. Like, oh yeah, I'll never say it again in my life, let alone on the pod.
That's how. One, how powerful Daniel is, and two, how stubborn and insecure we are.
Absolutely. I'm a tiny man, dude. I'm not going to fight against words. And if I can't think of a better word to use than sonic, then I don't deserve to speak.
I think I've typed it out knowing it's a placeholder. And then
it's in brackets. Yeah. God damn. So in other words, sonically, it's really great.
There's nothing wrong with saying that.
There's fucking nothing wrong with it.
Stupid.
You know how many times Michael Giroux said sonically in the Swans doc?
I didn't even notice.
A lot, dude. A lot.
Notice.
And he seems to be doing all right. I'm getting all defensive now.
This is what happens when I slowly lose my mind on air.
Fuck yeah. And now we are at the end. Well, there's 2 records. I'll talk a little bit about the last EP, but with the last album.
Also, I didn't know I was supposed to listen.
No.
Okay. Cool.
I didn't learn about it until like way after.
Okay.
So I just gave it a once over to
all right.
But here it is, the last album, everybody. Who boy, last one on Touch and Go too. This is 2004's It'll Be Cool.
And you know what? That's a great album title.
It surprisingly is. I was like, it'll be cool. It's actually kind of...
It will be cool.
It'll be cool. Yeah. Also, if you just look at the track listing, 8 tracks as opposed to like 13 and 16 and whatever. That means longer songs.
This album is bananas.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is.
Don't look back. Don't look back. Don't look back.
The drums are kind of like krautrock.
Yep.
Like there's nothing krautrock about the song.
No, but it's very repetitive, very steady.
Yeah.
Don't look back.
This is like some of like the most honest Tim vocals in the entire discography.
Don't look back. The man on the radio said,
It just feels like a guy singing, where it's almost detached from like a singer in a band. It just feels like a guy. It feels really honest and sincere.
but strong and he knew it was right. He knew it could never go on too long. Go ahead.
I was quite taken back by this song. I was like, this is fucking really nice. And also, it's a long song.
Oh yeah.
It's like 6 minutes in it. We're obviously not going to get to that much of it, but it fucking builds. It builds and builds and builds.
I didn't love this song first listen, but as I grew, love might be too strong a word, but as I grew to appreciate this album, in the whole, yeah, it's good.
It is good. It's a great opening track for the album. And it definitely goes and does more.
Also, I don't know what I'm doing here, guys. I'm sorry. I kind of whatever. I think this is their best.
Personal favorite.
All right,
dude. This album fucking rips.
Boom.
I couldn't believe how fucking good this album was, because I was like, oh, they just became a thing I'm not really that into, and then this comes on like, oh, this is what I wanted immediately when Joe left. Like this type of thing where it feels so fucking organic.
I kind of felt like beaten down and defeated. And let me tell you, insomnia is one of the craziest experiences I've had listening to music, because the first half of that song, I'm like, okay, I've been here before.
Yep.
I know what you're doing.
Oh no, you don't.
No, the fuck I don't.
Dude, that what it grows into is the first time they've gone full crazy noisy since the Joel days.
Yeah.
It's so good.
Yeah, once the fuzz and the keyboard kicks in, that song is fucking awesome.
100%. Now let's talk a little bit about Penalty Box.
Penalty Box
Fuck yeah.
is the greatest Brainiac tribute song ever. It doesn't really sound like Brainiac, but there's like...
It's so wacky. So on this album are a fuck ton of mandolins. And I love me some mandolins. Alex loves him some mandolins.
Or as I call it, gondola music.
Gondola guitars.
Yeah.
And there is numerous mandolin solos on Penalty Box, and they're all absolutely fucking crazy. And they're all like really, really technically good. Like shredding on a fucking mandolin. It's so crazy.
It's a good fucking song.
It's fantastic. Now, Something Hyper is the weirdest song in their entire discography.
Okay.
It's gotta be.
I was like, okay, Penalty Box is novelty song. We're gonna settle back down. They did a fucking creepy banjo song, and not in a like Deliverance sort of way.
No, it has these odd pianos, these like haunted house pianos.
Yeah, the slow, unsettling stuff.
Also, down pitched vocals. Like slowed down vocals.
Yes.
And it's not like it's not done in like a Ween kind of way where it's just a slightly lower voice that sounds kind of goofy. It's like over on top of the regular singing and then kind of thrown in the background in the mix a little bit. It's more like a texture. It's like an odd little layer in there.
And then
oh no, listen, we got to talk. I think it's actually pronounced Christian Undertaker. It's spelled Xiam, but I think it's Christian Undertaker. One of their best songs.
Yes.
It is I am so in love with that song. Dude. I love it so much.
Hell yeah.
Dude, it's a legit ballad. It's a legit ballad, but
the way it's executed and
it's gorgeous.
This is like so crazy for like, it kind of reminds me of David Bowie's Black Star in a way where obviously that's like under a different set of circumstances where this band like ended abruptly against their will. Mm-hmm. Not that I'm saying David Bowie passed away at his will, but he knew, he knew his time was up. But anytime like a band like can come out swinging on their last album or like Tribe's last album, it's always I don't know, it's always an more endearing to me.
Yeah, you've already established in your mind that this band is this one thing.
Yeah.
Even though they weren't that when they started, they grew into that thing. You've already established that they're going to continue along this kind of path. And this isn't like a different band than the past 5 albums. Mm-hmm. It's like instead of taking a huge left turn, they just sort of veered a little bit left, and they decided to throw this there instead. We decided to make the song this length instead of that. We started maybe hammer on this thing long. It's like little tiny choices that end up in like what I feel is a vastly better album.
Yes.
Like a bunch of little changes.
But obviously no one agrees.
Well, I don't know.
Okay.
I think they do. I mean, fans of this band like all the albums. Mm-hmm. But one person in the doc that I was surprised to see in there and repeat this. Is it Clint from Mission of Burma? Check out that episode. He said, "It'll Be Cool" was incredible. Loved it. It'll Be Cool more than Italian Platinum. That album had great songs in it, but It'll Be Cool was the fucking one. And I was like, yeah, I felt that way too. Holy shit. All right. So it's not like unfounded or anything.
Yeah.
There is so much good on here. So we get Christian Undertaker, which is, the greatest thing ever. And then, Shitty Little Yacht, which is the best song title ever made.
I still think what was it?
Oh, a cockfight of what was it?
That one wins.
A cockfight of feelings.
Yeah, that one wins.
It is a good. I like Shitty Little Yacht because it just feels so disrespectful.
You arrange that around, you get the acronym for Strapping Young Lad.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, a little bit.
I don't know why my brain went there, but
Same band, really.
it's the same band.
It's fuzzy as all hell. It feels great. That song, I mean, along with a lot of the songs on this album, but it does feel like the progression I was hoping for after Joe left, where they're not playing the same kind of songs. It's a very different type of song than the Joel days, but it still is ambitious. It still is like, fuck it. Let's just try that. It feels very uninhibited.
Yeah. And then I will say the operative is just something like real bright and shiny in this like crazy like kaleidoscope of this album.
It's like the happy moment. It's like the moment where, all right, we're going to give you a little bit of lifestyle in Italian Platinum, but it's going to be heavier and more layered. So like for one, this album has more guitar overdubs than a lot of the albums we've had in a long time. So yeah, it's just the trio or quartet if you count Matt on keys, which you should. But he's no longer just relying on the one guitar. There's like, and that's like a subtle thing, but it really does make a difference when, hey, maybe I can do this and harmonize this now. Like, why not? Fuck it. I'll just do an overdub.
Yeah.
And it does open things up a lot. The operative bleeds right into his Mark Replies, which is a very short instrumental with no drums and has like dual distorted guitars. I think one of them is a baritone guitar.
Yeah. I feel it's almost like a soundscape a little bit.
It's more songy, but it definitely has that floatiness to it.
Yeah, it really just feels more like an outro.
It's like an outro
than a full like proper song.
But it's like a really nice way it's like an outro for the operative that also happens to be the final track. It feels it all kind of it flows nicely. It comes to a close in like a really gentle and somber way. Even though it's distorted and loud, but it still feels that way. I think they fucking nailed it. Like, I really think they nailed it with this album. And it didn't fucking shocker. It didn't sell.
Of course, it fucking didn't.
It never. Of
course, it didn't.
It's like it doesn't matter. Like if you're you're the fucking best band ever. If you don't find the right people to support you, it's not going to work. I mean, that's a fucking devastating fact of art, which shouldn't be. You should be able to be broke and still make art because it helps the world or something. I'm a fucking hippie. Who cares? But it didn't sell well. And I think Tim was trying to, I think was sending messages or something to Corey from Touch and Go saying like, I know, last album didn't sell, but maybe like if you want to talk, you can set something up, maybe not as ambitious or whatever, something. And he was like dodging his calls and like dodging his not responding till finally he set up a meeting and he was like, sorry, gotta let you go. Man. And that was devastating to hear, but also obviously devastating for them. Tim was saying, I really thought Touch and Go was the last time we would have to look for some like I thought
a label
that was home. Yeah, because this is the place that harbors bands like us where we're just doing our thing and we have a very dedicated but small group of people. And even they were like, sorry, bud, not gonna. So after that, they had to have like a really important conversation with each other. Like, do we even do this? No one wants us. Why are we still doing this? Yeah. And they all came to the same conclusion that we love it so much. We're never going to stop. We'll put it out ourselves. Fuck it. Whatever. Yeah. And I was like, yes, I love you guys so much. Oh man. I love them. I love them. What they're, and then Michael was killed. And then that was the end of that. Like immediately.
Fucking devastating shit, bro.
Absolutely devastating. And I mean, I talked about the death at the beginning, but fuck, it's just like, it's so, the people who die tragically are always the ones that are just better. They're always like the people that you want around, the people that just livened up the room.
Or maybe it just feels that way.
It always just feels that way. It's
because
never, everyone dies.
These are the people that are like, made someone's day better and now they're not there.
Yeah, that's exactly that. It's exactly that. You just notice their absence way more.
Yes, it's a bigger hole to fill than if some asshole went missing.
And Yeah, because like we know we're all gonna die, and we all know that, but like we don't really think about it on a day to day. Like, no, you could die randomly. Like anybody can die, and it happens all the time. But it's like it's not likely. It's not likely, but was it likely for this guy, for Michael to die the way he did? Insanely unlikely.
Mm-hmm.
So just enjoy what you have when you have it.
Yeah.
Life is a gift, even if you don't see it that way. Maybe it's just your perspective.
I think I got to shout out Mama Leak right now too.
Mama Leak.
Because
yep.
One of their members passed away, and we reviewed their album, and it was this.
It's an awesome album. Check out that episode.
Like I'm dealing with some shit right now, and then to like be introduced to this band that's like doing something new, and then hearing one of their members is gone, I'm just like, that's not fucking fair. I know life's not fair, but
it's not fair,
but that's the very real reaction I had to it.
Yeah. In the same way, like even when watching the doc, I'm like, this is not fair, but it's not only what it is, it's what it's always been. That is what nature is. And nature's metal, dude. It's fucking pretty brutal. And that's just what it is. We're not guaranteed shit. You might not wake up tomorrow, and you might not go to sleep tonight. You just don't know. Just fucking document what you have. Enjoy what you have.
You might not go to sleep, so you end up watching Eddie Murphy's Nutty Professor because you can't fall asleep at night.
We all do that. Not just Alex. Of all the movies, The Nutty Professor.
I didn't want to think.
It's fair enough. I got, for the past few weeks in a row or weekends in a row, I get super stoned and I put on Young Frankenstein because like it's one of my favorite movies of all time, and I'll never not laugh at it. But when I'm high, it is the funniest thing in the world. Like I will die laughing. I know exactly what's happening. I've seen it 1,000 times.
Werewolf.
Werewolf.
Yeah.
Oh man, what a great movie. Okay, so
we've been here long enough. We shouldn't be talking about movies.
I know. I'm sorry. This is like a 4-hour fucking episode. The last record they officially released was Chokes, the Chokes EP. Came out in 2006 on 12XU, which they found another label and then released that. Tim said, according to Tim, he said, the Chokes EP is underrated and probably underrepresented in otherwise comprehensive Silkworm collections. That is 100% true. It's a cool EP. It has like, there's a cover of Wrote a Song for Everyone by Creedence. Check out that episode.
Wrote a song. Oh, man. I'm going to cry and listen to that song on the way home, I think.
Yeah. That song will do it.
It's kind of a perfect way to end my day.
It's a perfect closing like end credit song anyway.
Yeah.
It's fucking amazing. But there's a cover of that on there. There's a live track on there. But the rest of the songs are like more in the vein of It'll Be Cool. Maybe not as like wacky or unexpected, but it's a cool EP. Immediately after, Tim and Andy went on to form Bottomless Pit with Chris Manfrem of Seam and bassist Brian Orchard of 22. I think both of them were in the doc as well. But when asked about making music again after the death of Michael, Tim said the whole thing, including making music again, was indescribably painful, but we ended up playing our way through it for whatever reason. Music was somehow a natural part of trying to deal with Michael's death. I don't remember Andy and me talking much about the music during that time. We just did it. Bottomless Pit just kind of happened. It was super heavy emotionally, ended up being greatly rewarding, and we rode that out for many years, even though it seemed like the new band the whole time. Wouldn't it always?
It would. It totally would. I think especially as you get older, like there are things that feel new to me, like my friendship with you.
Oh, right.
But we've known each other
over 10 years at this point. Yeah.
So I totally get it.
Yeah. 100%.
It's not like a slight to you. It's this. No, it's just in the scheme of my life.
When you turn a certain age, like, I mean, there's so much before that. There's so much life before that. Yeah. It reminds me of the Minutemen. Check out that episode when they formed Firehose after D-Boon's death. I imagine that was Firehose. Yeah, plenty of people love that band, but it is the band after Minutemen. Even though I forgot the other guy's name, the guitar player for Firehose, but he was like a whole it's like a different band. It's a whole different personality. But George Hurley and Mike Watt, like, man, Minuteman was like their baby.
Mm-hmm.
D-Boon was his childhood best friend. Like, that's it. You don't just move on from that. Tim goes on to say, at certain points in your life, you may realize a creative process has gotten so woven into your life that it's just part of what you do and you don't exactly have any choice as far as whether or not you're going to engage in it. It's more like walking or breathing than work, which explains why they were going to continue as a band despite everyone shunning them.
Yeah.
Andy's take on this, he says, easy. It seemed clear that it was an imperative. We also had the good fortune to know some great guys and musicians who fit right in to help us form Bottomless Pit. And I think when it happened, I think the day after Michael died, someone, it might have been some press or something, contacted Tim and asked him about like Silkworm. And he's like, oh, it's over. It's obviously over. And he didn't even ask Andy about it. And then when he saw Andy, he was like, oh, I didn't even like, I mean, is that, he's like, oh yeah, no, it's over. It's over.
Yeah,
no. Let's need no discussion. Obviously it's over. Like that's the guy. We're not, it reminds me, I mentioned in the past, like the band Sun City Girls, like the drummer died.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. End of the band.
Yeah.
Some people are just they are what makes it a band. You can't just replace that. Tom also asked Tim, what people besides Steve Albini had the biggest impact on the band. And Tim said John Kappas, and Tom Kipp from Einheit were big influences in terms of how to do things, performative aspects, aesthetics, exposing all of us to new ways of thinking about stuff. Certain bands we played with imprinted themselves on us. Engine Kid, Jessamine, Treat People, A Miniature. We were all still finding our way when we played with those bands the most, and their varied ways of doing stuff filtered into how we did or sometimes did not do things. He says, I'm still friends with a bunch of people with whom we made records. John Solomon, Corey Rusk, Gerald Coslow, Tim Cook, Terry Farrell. I love and appreciate them. I saw from them how to do business with people honorably. From others, I saw what happened when they were shitty to bands who had entrusted them with their art. All of that was useful knowledge to acquire. It's nice that the band has ever gotten any press whatsoever, but I don't usually read reviews and people should say whatever they want about us. I used to hate being misquoted though, unless it was bad enough to be funny. A guy once had me saying that we were into Neil Young before he was cool. Still makes me laugh.
That's a
horrible quote. That's a really bad quote.
These guys in Silkworm are like 100 years old.
Yeah, that's insane. How old do you think they are? It's fucking ridiculous. As for these days, Tim says my band Mint Mile has been going for 8 years now, which seems crazy. Feels like 2. We put out a bunch of EPs and we released a double album called Ambertron right as the entire world locked down for COVID. Somehow it's almost out of print though, so I guess it worked out. Finally, someone's buying their fucking albums. Our new record is called Rough Rider, and I hope it'll be out in 2023. Keep an eye out for that. Pending pressing plant delays and all that. I'm really happy with the group and what we are up to there. He says, I play with John and Mike from Tar in a group called Deep Tunnel Project. That is very good. Jeff Dean plays guitar. Those guys are all great. And I love getting to just play bass. So I feel fortunate to be doing it. And this is a fucking wild card. I
was not expecting this.
I bet you weren't. Check this out. I played bass and baritone guitar on the last 3 Sun O records and did a bunch of touring with the group in 2019 and 2020. Greg and Steven and I have known each other for ages before the band even existed. I've always loved the band. Only one like it. Hope to be involved in more of that at some point. By the way, one of the guys from Sun O was in the dog.
Fucking
night and day difference.
My brain's already mush right now. Holy shit. Okay. Yeah, let's go.
Why not? Andy says, I released a solo album backed by Light Coma on Comedy -1 in 2017 called Unreality. It's good, so people should buy that if they haven't already. You hear that? He says, I also co-sponsor an ever-expanding website of Buddhist thought at deepdharma.org, so people can check that out if it is of interest. Also, didn't expect him to be a Buddhist. Like, again, there's no shortage of surprises with each guy.
The way he talks kind of makes this is a man who meditates, probably.
Oh, easily.
Yeah. I
was more like surprised because he's on stage with like full-on Stars of David. He's like a fully Jewish guy, but he's a Buddhist.
You could do both.
And you could also play crazy guitar in a really obscure indie band and then also tour with Bush.
And then play in fucking Sun O.
Oh, see, that's Tim.
I know, but still,
the degrees of separation are quite narrow with this. Holy shit, man. But we did it. We made it. We did 11 albums. Holy shit.
I'm exhausted.
You're exhausted. This has been a very long, this will be one of our longest episodes.
I can't believe that.
It's up there. It is up there. Thank you, Kevin, for requesting this. I hope you enjoyed the thorough deep.
Took a year, but
it took a while.
You can't say we didn't.
I wanted to make sure I fucking came prepared. We came with fucking exclusive interviews. I actually watched the documentary and didn't forget this time. We listened to every fucking album, even the stuff that wasn't on the list. Or at least I did. Anyway,
I was gonna say
he did too.
I was gonna say I did the bare minimum, but I went and found these 3 obscure things.
Exactly.
So I get like a D plus.
I wouldn't say that. It's a band that it's they know they're not for everyone. The world knows they're not for everyone. Their biggest supporters are like, they don't hit with everybody. They're just not. They're not that band.
He even gave us permission to say whatever I want, but I'm like, no, you're too fucking nice.
But I also respect everything that they do and how they do it.
Yeah.
And like the little things, like the way they don't replace members and the way they choose to play the songs after that member is gone. It's just, this is why I love covering these bands and these genres. It's like, they're not doing any of it for any kind of thing other than that they love it. And that there was a thing that Steve said in the doc that was brilliant. He says it was after they were dropped from Matador or I think it was Matador. Said there comes a point in a lot of musicians' careers where they have to make the decision to try and actually make some money and not be so weird and making an actual effort to appeal to some audiences and bring in new people, or to say fuck that and keep doing whatever they want. And that is the difference between a great band and people who don't know what they're doing. And these guys, they chose being broke and fucking being dropped over and over again.
Man.
And I love them for it. God damn it, I love them for it.
Goddamn.
So thank you so much for listening and watching. Again, thank you, Kevin. I hope you enjoyed it. Blah, 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 blah. If you want to support us and hang out, fucking do that more. This has been a long hangout, but leave comments if you want to talk shit to us. Maybe we're wrong about everything. Who cares? Leave your picks for best and worst. Play along with us. You can subscribe if you want to do that. And please do that. You can follow me on all social media at PanderMonkey and Alex on Instagram at
Every Album Alex.
Hell yeah. Please, for the love of Christ, follow our history guy, Tom Osman, who puts in the work. He fucking does things that I can't talk to people. I can never ask anybody for an interview. I can't do these things. I don't have these skills. Tom does, and he does it for us. So please follow him. And all social media, Tom Osman Sounds, and his Substack, tomosman.substack.com, where there's more interviews there. He does a bunch of writing about music. He's a very good writer. And tomosmansounds.com for all things music. He just released a new album with a collab album with Existent Non-Existent called Industrial State of Mind. It is disturbing and ambient and drony and creepy. And his stories on there are actually very well done and kind of spooky. Check that out. Very crazy stuff. Also check out my debut EP, Pander Monkey. Find it in the description. It's cool too. And last but not least, patreon.com/every album ever. That is where we survive. Please go there. We got some bonus episodes. You get to see our schedule in advance. You get to vote on polls to decide who we're covering next. You get to join our Discord and suggest episode topics for our EAE singles episodes. And if you're tier 2, you can suggest a full ass discography, just like Kevin did. It might take a while. We're going to try and find ways so it doesn't take as long, but they take a long time. I'm sorry. But if you want us to cover a band specifically, do that. Thank you. Okay. I think that's it for plugs. We've had a long day. I can't believe how late it is, but it's okay. I'm going to throw out a suggestion.
I feel like there's one song.
There's only one song. It has to be.
Yeah.
Christian Undertaker.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. So thanks so much for listening and watching. See ya.